What up, people? Happy Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's the end of the week and the last day. So what you gonna do? I'm gonna get my Houston on all weekend long. So what up, everybody? How you doing? This is Coach Renz. Welcome to Deconstructing Christianity. I will be your host for this Friday. Of course, Friday is a different kind of show because it doesn't last as long as a normal show would last. Because we got a hard cutoff. Because my wife get home early on Friday, and she's way more important than y'all. Hopefully everybody's had a great week. Sure you've had a great week. What up, Chuck Norris? Glad you had a great week. Look forward to our conversation today, which is actually a Bishop Nug came up with this, wanted to do this subject matter today, so his ass better show up. All right. You better show up. Oh, we got a different Nug on here. Oh, wow. Well, that's the same one. So we're going to present some evidence today. We're going to get some information. We're going to look at some things concerning primarily Mithra. Now we might also go into Dionysus and Horus and some of the other deities, but and Serapis, but we want to focus primarily on Mithras, Mithra, because Mithraism was the most competitive religion to Christianity, and if it had not been for the Roman government, most people will probably run around believing in Mithras and not believing in Jesus. So, I normally don't smoke this cigar while we're talking, but so today I'm smoking a Partagas Red. Oh. This is after I had a good meal cigar. This is strong, but I haven't had this one with coffee yet. But this is a very, very strong Nicaraguan cigar. This Partagas Red. Partagas Red. This podcast is brought to you by Partagas Red. No, just playing. I know. I know, right? My wife, she understands. I'm taking a risk with this one. Breakfast wasn't that big. But we gonna see. Let's get ready. All right. Let's get it ready. Let's get going. That is not gonna burn right. It might canoe a little bit. All right. So let's get ready to get into this one. Let's get ready to get into this one. So I want to welcome everybody to this glorious Friday as we get ready to discuss the comparison between Jesus and Mithra. Who copied who? Or were they copying at all? Or did they grow up independently? How did these two religions come about? What was their growth potential? Who worshiped them, and what were some of the similarities? Now, there are many differences between the Christianity and Mithraism. I'm gonna say that right up front. Many differences between them, and some of the differences are very important. But they are different. But they are different religions, but they still maintain pretty much the same goal, and that is a religion that people believe in some deity that no one can prove. Now, Mithraism did come before Christianity. At least a full 100+ years before Christianity, there was the religion of Mithraism, as it was noted by Plutarch, who wrote in 67 BCE. Plutarch wrote about there being the practice of Mithraism. So we know that Mithraism was well established before Jesus. Now, the type of Mithraism that was established before Jesus did change over the centuries. By the time we get into the second, third, and fourth centuries, Mithraism had borrowed some of the uh, teachings of the Jesus care, some of the rituals of the Christians, but also the Christians prior to that had borrowed some of the teachings and damn sure stole all the churches, all the temples of Mithraism. So there is some back and forth, some of giving and taking, but the back and forth of giving and taking started with Mithraism being first, Mithraism coming out of Iran. It was a soldier's religion. Mithraism was a soldier's religion because it emphasized valor, it emphasized chaste, it emphasized being loyal and being honest. Those were the main core teachings of Mithraism. So it was a Roman soldier's religion. Now, they did not allow women. You should know right there, when you don't allow women in your religion, that your religion is going to fail. No religion can thrive without women, right? It just don't work. But this Iranian religion, once the Romans learned of it, once the Roman soldier took it on in the BCE era, first century BCE, it grew as a very underground religion. Their temples were underground. For the most part, it was a mystery religion. They had secret handshakes. You had initiates, and you had to climb the rungs of understanding. So it had a Gnostic-like feel to it, because you were now a member who was fighting against the cosmic evil. As Mithra is displayed as slaying the cosmic bull, and then the sacrifice of the cosmic bull, that blood protects humanity, saves humanity. So there is a salvation piece in it. But it is through the sacrificing of a bull, and a cosmic bull at that. So of course, they ritualistically would sacrifice the bull. The age of, you can call it the age of Taurus if you like, but it was sacrificing a bull. And there are many religions that sacrifice the bull. But so in Mithraism, this Iranian religion continued to grow, and at its centerpiece is the god Mithras. Mithras was a sun deity. And as the sun deity, Mithras represented life. He was life, he was purity, and he was protection. You know how they say that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. He was the life, purity, and protection. So he had a little bit of similarity in that aspect of the story. But Mithra was born from a rock in the Roman version. In the Iranian version, he emerged from a cave. The Romans took the emerging from a cave to the born from a rock. Both of them, though, indicating a special birth. And we see with the Jesus character, there is a special birth. And we can find this with multiple characters, whether we're talking about Krishna, Dionysus, Horus, there's always a special birth involved. So what we have is this situation where in Mithraism, he emerged from a rock, he emerged from a cave. We can take both of them. One is the original, though, would be him emerging from a cave in the Iranian format of Mithra. So Mithra, being the sun god, was then made into soul. Is the sun god Mithra, right? So if you did it, it would be Sol Mithra and Deus, right? Something like that. So he is the sun god he is the god of the sun. He is the power of the sun. He is the light of the sun, the life giver of the sun. When he slayed the bull, it gave fertility to the earth and protected the earth along with his sun rays, his sunlight. Now, Mithra also had followers. Yeah, I mean, he had apostles, so to speak. He had primary people who followed him, same way that Jesus did. Mithra was, because of the Roman worship of Sol Invictus, Mithra was placed to be born where he emerged from the rock or the cave, but he was to be born on December 25th, which coincided with the Roman idea already of Sol Invictus, which we know the Jesus character. Later on, not in first century as much, but later on, by second century into third and fourth century, Jesus was being born on the 25th of December as well, right? Now we know this is based on the idea that the sun dies for 3 days and then it begins to rise 1 degree to the north on December 25th. So the day is now conquering the night, it's now winning, it's now fighting, right? And it's starting to win these battles. And speaking of battles, as Jesus had to be the Lion of Judah, so too was Mithra, often depicted as a lion-headed with a lion head statue. So he was the lion as well. They both, Jesus had to deal with the devil. The character of Mithras is standing on a snake with a snake intertwined around him. Jesus got the keys to the hell, to open the hell gates or whatever. And Mithra is often seen with a scepter and keys in this iconography. They both made a sacrifice to help humanity. Jesus' sacrifice was a human sacrifice of himself, a self-sacrificing, while Mithra sacrificed the cosmic bull. Both are just as important within their understanding, right? I know later on Christians are going to give more credibility to someone self-sacrificing. I do not. Now, they both are living forever. Now, the difference is Mithra didn't die. He's still alive. He never died. Both are, and in Jesus' character, he's supposedly resurrected. So he's still alive. So they both are still alive, and they both are supposed to return to the earth, to the world of man, once certain things have been completed. So both of them have a return. They both don't have a resurrection because Mithra never had to die, but they both have a return to provide man his final salvation. For the Jesus myth, provide man his protection, his eternal protection in the Mithraic myth. So they both have this return that they're going to make, right? So we still have those similarities when it comes to the story of Mithra and the Jesus story about them coming back. They both had these dinners with the gods, with the primary god, where they went and Jesus had his, well, not the primary god. Mithra's dinner was with the gods, the other gods. Jesus' dinner was with his disciples, but they both have this important dinner that they have to continue to move their religion, move their presence. That became an important thing in the story. Mithra had like 30, about 50. Mithra had like 3-4 times as many people though at his dinner, but then Jesus did. But they both had this supposedly special dinner. And I know people don't really talk about these aspects of it as much because we want to focus on just the core things that Christians hold up. But even something as simple as telling a story about them having a special dinner, special festival, does show that it's possible that the Christian religion adopted some of the Mithraic traditions, and by doing so, it shows that the religion is not original. I mean, we know the Mithraic religion is not original because they got it from the Persians when they went into Iran. But here we see that neither was the Christian religion because they picked up some aspects from this religion of Mithra. Now, of course, we could talk about many other similar stories in other different in other beliefs that were around at that time frame. And I want to focus on the ones that were around at that time frame. For instance, like if you want to bring up Serapis, that's fine. Serapis was around before Jesus. Serapis has some similar feats as Jesus does. Vespasian uses the power of Serapis to heal a blind man by spitting in his eye and heal a lame man by standing on his hand. Those similarities, those stories rather, are told by Tacitus, who Christians like to laud. They're told by Suetonius and Dio. So when you accept the history of those people as far as Christianity is concerned, you therefore should accept the history as far as Serapis is also concerned. When you see Dionysius, he had a special birth, and then he died as a child, and then he was reincarnated, he was resurrected. He turned water into wine. He had a meet up and get up in the festival out in the woods. So we had, and he had a he had a Paul disciple that was persecuting his people, and then they were blinded, and then they came out as the biggest supporter. So you have a Paul-like story in the Dionysius story as well. And they all perform miracles. They all perform miracles. You don't have a Messiah, a God type, who doesn't perform miracles. They have to perform miracles for them to be God. Without the miracles, they just a person. Right? Now, the thing about it is that you're going to have similarities by people who are in contact with each other. What I find more interesting is when there are similarities and the people don't have contact with each other. Now, some of the later traditions of Krishna, because somebody's going to bring up Krishna, some of the later traditions of Krishna have similarities to Christianity and may have adopted some of the Christian mythos. But the earlier invocations of Krishna, they certainly did not get it from the Christians. Like in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th incarnations of Krishna were all his own thing. Now, Krishna wasn't born of a virgin because he had brothers, but Krishna was born of a special birth where there was a star in the sky and there was angels who showed up. Hindu angels showed up at his birth, and they gave gifts of spices. You still had some similarities in the thought process. Many religions created their deity's birth around some astrological event. Stars in the sky, a comet passing through. Oftentimes, the impregnation happens because of some weird shit, like in the Osirian myth or the Horus. You look at Horus, Isis floated over the replacement penis of a resurrected Osiris and became pregnant with Horus. So Horus has a special birth, not a virgin birth, but yet the Jesus character is claimed to have a virgin birth, yet there was nothing preordained about a virgin birth in the first place. So it's not like it makes it any more special than turning into a hawk and hovering above your resurrected husband's fake dildo penis and becoming pregnant. It makes it no more different than Zeus impersonating the husband of Hercules' mother and getting her pregnant. That's just the Holy Spirit being in the flesh instead of the Holy Spirit just being, whoa, woo. I think the Hercules story is better, that Zeus came down, impersonated the husband, had sex with the woman, and that produced Hercules. Sounds more logical than a ghostly spirit coming up, going up into a woman's vajayjay and getting it on. What was the movie Ghostbusters, when she was having spiritual sex and she was all in the air? Sigourney Weaver was all in the air and everything. Impersonate somebody. That's better. That makes more sense. Mm-mm-mm. So what we have here, if we focus on Mithra, what we have is the fact that even some of your early church fathers that the Christians like to taught out, like Justin Martyr, fully admitted that there were many similarities between Christianity and the worship of Mithra. Now, although he pointed out these similarities and he also said that some of the Christian teachings or rituals may have been influenced by Mithraism in his earlier works. In his later works, when the argument became more visceral, he then started stating that he never changed his stance that the early version of Mithraism in the Roman Empire influenced Christianity, but he stated towards the latter part of his life that Christianity was beginning to and had been now influencing Mithraism. So by the time you get to mid to late second century, you're starting to see some of the Mithraic traditions change based on Christianity. But the earlier parts of Christianity, he's saying, was influenced by Mithraism. So these religions kind of had like a working relationship with one another, similar to, I mean, if you think about it, everything in this world is a copycat, right? You can find copycats all over the place. Every church is designed the same way. And then when people started having the churches in the plazas, they would design them the same way. And then when the non-denominational churches started being built, all of them started designing theirs the same way. Like, no matter what, we keep designing things. You're going to design something to what the same way as somebody similar to you, right? It's all copycat. Y'all know I'm a sports fan. When the Golden State started winning championships, all of a sudden everybody want to shoot threes. When Dirk Nowitzki starts shooting threes at 6'10", 7 foot, everybody want a big man who can shoot threes. It's copycat. Everything's a copycat. You know, nobody running the ball anymore in football. Well, for a while they wasn't running the ball, but everybody want to pass the ball and receivers. And now you got some teams running the ball, so it's copycat. Mithraism, Christianity, being in such close proximity to one another, you're going to see a lot of copycat. The reason why, and this is the thing, Mithraism didn't grow faster, didn't become the Roman religion. I mean, Christianity. Let me rephrase. I'm not saying. Let me start over. Christianity didn't become the religion of Rome because it was true. Christianity became the religion of Rome because it was more politically advantageous. You see, Christianity was growing faster than Mithraism, even though Mithraism had a 100 to 200 year head start, that it was in the Roman military. It still suffered growth because it was in the Roman military, because it was only men could participate in it. Christianity caught up to it and surpassed it by the end of the second century and into the third century, because Christianity allowed women. You didn't have to serve in the military. Those two things alone allow for Christianity to grow faster than Mithraism. Then the other reason why it was more politically advantageous, if his only Christianity allowed for the Roman government under Theodosius to control the entire population. Mithraism can only control the Roman military. And now you will always have an issue between the people and the military. They will always maintain separation. And since by the time we get into the 5th century CE, by the time we get there with Theodosius, I mean the 4th century with Theodosius, the expenditures from the Eastern Roman Empire are not trying to fund a military. They're trying to figure out how to control the people without funding a military, because the Western Roman Empire wasn't making that much money. They was in debt. But the Eastern Roman Empire was making a ton of ass money. They didn't have the military. They weren't able to defend as well. And they were losing, and they had just lost quite a few battles. So Christianity was the better political advantage to take. I mean, better political religion to take stuff, because it gave you that advantage of being able to control the people. So, and it was more pacifistic. Mithras, Jesus, oh, put me on the cross, which in Mithraism, one of its symbol is a circle with a diagonal cross, right? So, what was I going with that? Yeah, I forgot where I was going with that one. And the circle with a diagonal cross is copied. So that's something that was there beforehand. It would just be a military. I was saying it would just be a military religion. That was one of the problems with Mithraism. So when people say that Mithraism would have became the religion of Rome if Christianity had never come out, it's unlikely. It's unlikely that Mithraism would have been the religion, simply because it did not allow women, and it was primarily, and you had to be military. It had more of a Gnostic feel to it as well, in that you had to go step for step for step for step. So you have to gain knowledge, and so that you went from initiate to neophyte and continue up until you become like masters within the religion, right? So you get that type of thing. That makes it more difficult to grow the religion, and you damn sure can't control the community that way. The religion that would have had a better opportunity to outpace Christianity would have been the religion of Serapis, actually. Many think that it would be Dionysus, but the problem with the Dionysus religion is that it is too sexually open. It would have been too sexually open for the Romans, and damn sure through the European Middle Ages control with the popes and all of that kind of stuff. It was too free flowing with the sexuality. So, but what do you guys think? Do you think, put a 1 in the comment if you agree that that Christianity originally copied some of its attributes from the Mithraic religion, especially since this religion had to migrate from Iran through the Levant into the Mediterranean, into the Roman Empire, well prior to Christianity ever being developed. Because remember, the Romans went out and conquered all into that area, to Iraq, Iran, and way out there in like 2nd century through 1st century BCE. So this is a couple of hundred years, at minimum 150, 170 years before the Jesus character. We have Mithraism already in the Roman government, already in the Roman Empire, I should say. Okay, I'm seeing some ones. Good, good, good. Let me see. And I know that hold on, let me put this out here. I know that Nub is itching. I can feel him scratching. I can feel him scratching. I know Bishop Nub is scratching over there. Mm. All right, doing. Hold on, I got to test this out real quick. See how well this. I haven't had coffee with this cigar. Mm. Mm. Okay, this cigar is strong as shit. But when you do the thing that I just did with the coffee, which is to breathe over the coffee while it's in your mouth and blow out your nose so that it clears your palate and whatnot, and you get all cigar. This thing got some cinnamon pepper in it. But it has like a dark molasses. Um, Little baker's cocoa going on. But damn sure got some black pepper, so that must be an Esteli. That's a Nicaraguan Esteli wrapper. I know y'all don't give a damn about cigars, what about cigars, but this is definitely got to be an Esteli wrapper because that pepper is coming, that black pepper, and damn sure some jalapa. And yeah, all the scratching is making me itch. Malcolm McLaren. I know. I'm wondering where Nubs is, where the other Nubs is at. Where he was Johnny Five yesterday. He keep changing his damn name. Well, let's see, Miss Fifi. Hello, Miss Fifi.
Okay, I don't know what I did, but you pulled me up.
Oh, you must.
I'm glad because it's Friday and I won't be able to speak with you over the weekend. But I haven't really spoke to you this week.
No, you haven't. And you know, I don't go live on the weekend, Miss Fifi.
I know that's what I said. I won't see you till next weekend.
Oh.
So, I know you were discussing some stuff that I didn't even know about these wars and the influence that they had on the culture at the time. So that's very important because it helps with deconstruction. So you can make it real instead of a fantasy. You know what I'm saying?
No, I understand completely. That's one of the things that helped me to deconstruct is by understanding the culture and what happened in the culture that influenced certain things. That it gives you that new perspective on why certain things were taught and how and why a religion grew.
Right. And so the culture helps you understand more of what the teachings were about.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about those people that were above the other people living in synagogues. The people were on the ground, and then they had another level which the priests walked on.
Are we talking about? Oh, are you talking about the underground cities that, like in Turkey?
No, I'm talking about Jerusalem.
Okay.
So you had people who went through all those rituals to get into the synagogue, but the synagogue itself was built that the high priest would live on another level than the actual temple.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, I don't even I think they had this thing about they couldn't touch people and all this kind of stuff.
It's different. Like it is relative. So like a single woman cannot touch a rabbi. Only no other woman rather could touch a rabbi. Only his wife could. Right. So you had like different little rules and stuff like that. Actually, some sects of Judaism still have that rule. Yeah. And then there's certain other people, like if you were of a lower caste, like prostitutes or tax collectors, all the people that Jesus supposedly liked, you couldn't touch a rabbi either.
Yeah.
So they definitely set themselves apart to try to create this elite culture, which is just allows them to maintain power to rule over the people.
Right. And they were ruling over the people. In some instances, they were worse than their oppressors, the Romans, because the money changers, they are the ones who changed the Roman money into the temple money. And they could set their own rates.
Ain't nothing changed.
So, when I understood all of that, I understood why he went into the temple, as they teach, and threw the money changers over, and all of the tables and all of the doves set free and all of that kind of stuff that they teach you. I think that's on Palm Sunday they teach you there.
It is. They do teach you that for like Palm Sunday. Came in there, he flipped over the tables and took a whip out and started beating the shit out of people. His righteous anger, as they like to teach it. And on the surface, it does make sense. If on the surface, it does make sense that he did all that because they turned it into a market, right? The original idea of it when the Romans came in was just to do like a money exchange. Like if you go to another country, you can give some money. You give your American dollars, they give you your pesos or whatever it is they got. That was the original idea. But then it, just like anything, it grows into, okay, let's get some t-shirt salesmen in here and some hat sales. We need some dove people selling. We need some people. So let me put it in their context. We need some people selling some doves and some pigeons because people need to repent for their doves and their pigeons, with their doves and their pigeons. So we're going to bring these people in, but you got to give the church a cut. Then it's like, okay, we need some people selling these things because people need those. So, but you got to give the church a cut. So it turned into a whole church business.
Yeah.
And
it's like it is now.
Huh?
Pretty much like it is now.
Oh yeah, definitely. You go to some churches, they got the coffee shop, they got the bookstore, they got all kind of stuff going on. And they ain't trying to get nobody a cut. They own it now. Unlike them, they just own it straight out. They're not even trying to turn it into that. That's why I've always said that a church should create a for business wing and buy a plaza and then allow their church members who have businesses to be in that plaza and then encourage their members to go and shop there. And then when those businesses grow, hire from the church. That way you're turning that money over with the people and you're helping your people out. But they just want to cut. They would just want to have a festival or have something and, oh, come in here and sell your book. You wrote a book. Yeah, you can sell your book in our bookstore as long as we get our cut. We'll even put you up here and let you talk about it as long as we get our cut. Put a table out in front as long as we get our cut.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's become self-centered. And the thing about it, we was talking about the Jesus versus Mithra. Mithra was more of an underground society church. So you wouldn't have had that with Mithraism. Because it didn't allow for that. It was more focused on the development of the men to become more courageous, more loyal, more honest, more virtuous, more chaste. It was really focused on men being able to fight the cosmic battle alongside of Mithra, and not so much focused on things that happen on earth or these earthly ideals, right? It didn't tell you how to marry and who you should marry, and this is a sexual immorality, and focused on all these different things. It focused on the development of the person. Unfortunately, women couldn't be part of it, so that religion is not going to work anyway. All right, there's no opportunity for growth there. That's limited.
That would be like our Protestants down in the caves.
Yeah, well, it'd be more like Masons. The more I studied Mithraism, the more it reminds me of the Masonic order or the Knights Templars, you know, those types of societies, mystery societies, because it's so limited in its membership that it's hard to grow it. Now, a true competing religion would have been the religion of Serapis or the religion of Dionysus. And you can find similarities in the Christian religion to those religions as well, to which both of those religions are also older than Christianity. So like Serapis uses Vespasian to heal a blind man and to heal a lame man, right? And Serapis is the embodiment of the God. And he had like followers, you know, he had his followers, he had a miracle birth and, you know, all these other things. Even though Serapis is, we know Serapis is a mixture of multiple gods, but within the canon of those guys, they have all these miracle births and disciples and all these sorts of things. So you still get that. And the same with Dionysus as well. But Dionysus is his own one god, but he's not a combination of gods. But he's a resurrected God who, you know, saves people through salvation, does the bread and the wine, turns water into wine, have a feast out in the woods, has a Paul character that he converts over. So he has a lot of some of those similarities too that the first century Jews and Christians would have known about. Especially since they had been conquered by the Greeks. So they would have learned about Dionysus and Serapis. And then, of course, with the Romans, the story continues. Oh, and one interesting thing that popped in my head when you said something about wars and everything. This was I've always talked about this as a negative thing towards Christianity, but it's actually turned out to be the biggest benefit for the growth of Christianity. And that is the fact that the only reason Constantine legalized Christianity is because some of his military people had become Christian. Some of Maxentius' military had become Christian. But the biggest issue, and that's why he legalized it. That's why he legalized it. Once he legalized it, and everybody and their mama can come out and talk about their version of Christianity, and they were all fighting one another. And I often dog out Christianity because I often disparage, I ain't gonna say dog out, disparage the religion because no one in first, second, third, up to the 4th century, there was no agreement on Christianity. Because from 313 to 325, Christians were killing each other in the streets and fighting each other in the streets and causing public disturbances in the streets. That is the only reason Constantine called for the religion to be organized under the Roman authority. So it is actually Christian violence that allowed for it to become truly established within Rome. That's not a good look for your religion.
But it worked.
It worked. It did. It worked.
It worked. So yeah. So it got us to this, and we're
And,
trying to make something real that is a fantasy, but is very instructional
yeah.
and comforting.
And instructional, but I don't find the comfort in it.
You don't find any comfort in it?
No, I don't. How can I be comforted with the knowledge that there are people who have never heard of this religion and they're gonna burn and be tormented for all eternity? That doesn't comfort me. That actually brings discomfort.
Well, I don't believe in that. So why would I even think that millions and millions of people are going to go to hell because they never heard of it?
So what is comforting about the religion?
Comforting, not religion, reading the book.
Uh-huh.
So there's certain passages that I needed when I was in Christianity,
Mm-hmm.
that gave me comfort and reassurance that I could get through this.
Oh, okay.
So when I read them, or I think about them,
I understand what you're saying.
yeah, it could have been another book that did it.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody in every religion has something within their religion that gives them that feeling. So I understand what you're saying. And religion as a whole, people do find comfort in certain aspects of their religion. All right. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So with that benefit, yeah, that is something else. They were fighting each other in the streets.
Oh yeah.
He said, listen, under the Roman Empire, you can organize your religion and it will be recognized by us.
Yep.
Oh, give me permission to praise the Lord.
Yep. They had to give them their permission first, and then after their permission, they had to organize them so that they didn't violate Roman law. And by having fights and revolts against each other. Wasn't fighting nobody else, just each other. So
that would be interesting to find out if Muslims were fighting. Yeah, they weren't they?
Fighting when?
Fighting each other.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have had the instances where Muslims were fighting each other over who was the true what bloodline did the true leadership of Islam go through. And now that's why you have Sunni. That's why you got you got many different versions of Islam as well. You got multiple versions. So they still fighting each other to this day. Same way Christians are. They all fight each other. Humans gonna fight each other. We'll find a reason. Yeah. Let me let this other person come up real quick. Okay. They've been waiting as well. So I appreciate you, Miss Fifi.
I appreciate you too, and what you do.
Thank you very much. More. Yeah, all right, some long stuff. Can't read that long stuff. Tor. Hello? Tor? Tor?
I'm sorry, man. I'm at work. I was just listening in.
Oh, it accidentally hit. It's okay. It's cool. I do that all the time. I be on somebody live, and especially when I'm like hearting that thing up. Yeah, that's my sneaky way for y'all to tell y'all to heart this thing up. We only got 212 hearts on TikTok. I need you to heart this thing up. But sometimes when you heart it up, it'll hit the request thing. Right. But yeah, that was something. How many of you guys knew that Christianity was organized only because they were fighting each other in the streets. That is why the Nicene Council was called. That prior to that, there was, it was legalized that the Edict of Milan, and Constantine really didn't give a shit at that point. The only thing he cared about was making his mom happy, and because his mother had became Christian, and she went around taking over other temples and turning them into Christian temples, because they were based out of modern day Istanbul, because he was ruling the Roman Empire from the eastern capital of Istanbul, called Constantinople back then. But their fighting is what caused him to call the Council of Nicaea. He did not convert to Christianity. He just was like, this shit might cause another break in the empire, and I just put this together. Because he didn't care that he was fine with his military being following Mithras. And it was different. So like officers, high-ranking officers and above, and like senators and emperors, they followed the imperial religion, and they worshiped Sol Invictus, Apollo. That was for the higher ranking people. Mithra was a low-ranking officers, high-ranking non-commissioned officers, if we put it in today's military term. Lower ranking troops, he had some Christians who were lower ranking. And one of the perfect example of this, if you ever go to the British Isles, go up to Hadrian's Wall, and at Hadrian's Wall, you can see one of the encampments of Constantine. And for Sol Invictus, Apollo, they had a nice little temple that they built while they was up there. Mithra, they had it was underground, but they had a temple while they was there. The Christians, they just put some crosses on the wall. They met in the tents, because these were the lower ranking guys. They're not going to get the material. So if you go into England, put Hadrian's Wall on your bucket list. So you like, how many of you guys I saw somebody said they already knew that. I'm here because you guys are deconstructing from nothing to nothing, instead of deconstructing from the nonsense and finding God. If you are deconstructing from Christianity to find God, who is still immaterial and you cannot prove, then you are deconstructing to nothing. See how that works? See how that works? You can deconstruct it from one sky daddy to another sky daddy. That would be like me deconstructing from the Jesus myth to going to the Mithraic myth. Mithra is a false sky daddy as well. Why would I go from one false god to another false god? But people do that because, like what Miss Fifi was saying, people find comfort in religions. Because when you don't have religion, you either got to find comfort in people, or most importantly, you got to find comfort within yourself. And most people, they would struggle if they had to find comfort within themselves. Damn sure gonna struggle finding comfort within other people. That's why I keep my selection very low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. About it. God is everything, but you can't prove it. And you stay in the comment section, because you know better than to come up with that nonsense. God is everything. So I guess I'm smoking God's ass right now. I smoked his ass and turned him to ash. God is under my control to burn his ass and turn him into ash, since God is everything. Oh, that's funny. I always love the people who say God is everything, God is everywhere, God is nature. You would have to demonstrate that nature has intent, because nature does not demonstrate a consciousness, it does not demonstrate intent. So therefore, God is not a mind, God has no intelligence, God is just an instinctive force of nature. Then that's not God. It don't work. It doesn't work that way. Just look around. Just look around, and you'll see God in every living thing. That's all you got to do. Look at the birds, the way the birds fly. That's God. Look at the worm, a simple creature that we might find disgusting. But that's God. The flies and the mosquitoes, a nuisance to your mind, but that's God. When you're walking in the field and you see a pile of shit, know that that shit is God, with the flies flying around it, with the pieces of corn sticking out of it. That's God. You know, they always saying it's just the good stuff. You know what I'm saying? When the hurricane comes and it tears down your house. Wait. Let's see if I can do it. Wait a minute. Let's see. I can't get the voice. I'm trying to hear it in my head. Okay, because I started to do a video. I was gonna do a video like this just to fuck around. All right, let me see if I can do it. This is straight off the cuff, so if I mess some stuff up, I mess it up. No script that whatsoever. Let's see if I can get it. Y'all ready? I know y'all all gonna recognize this. I know everybody's gonna recognize this. How to start? How should I start? Look around. Everything you see, that's God. No, that's not the right voice. That's not the right voice. That's not the right voice. I was sitting in my house and I heard the sirens. I knew it was a sound. And then all of a sudden, my house got blown down. My family was in the house and I didn't know what to do. But I saw the Bible sitting on the table. And I knew right then that my home being destroyed, well, that's God's top law. That's God's law. My wife, she got blown up into the sky. I found her dead body 10 miles away. Now I got to raise the children by myself. But I understand that that's God's law. And then the dam broke. And as the waters came crashing down, it swept away my children. They all drowned in the mud. And I understood that that is God's law. Because God is everywhere and is in all things, and everything that God does is for our good. Because that's God's law. I can't, I got to practice that. Since God is everything, God is in everything. That's God's law, right? All my suffering, that's God's plan. That's God's law. Top dog law. God is top dog's law. I hate those commercials, but I love those commercials. Uh, let's see. Oh, dang, what I was looking for. Where was that? Can you please speak briefly about what happened in the Council of Nicaea? So the brief, since there was there's so much fighting going on amongst Christians, and the primary fight that Christians were having amongst each other was, what is Jesus, or who was Jesus? Was he God? Was he the God? Was he a God, or was he just a man? And although there were many arguments, that was the biggest argument. So Constantine, seeing the disruption that it was causing within the Roman Empire, with Christians fighting all over the place, especially in Egypt, and Egypt was the breadbasket of the Roman Empire at that time frame, he called for this meeting, and 18 is said that 1,800 bishops were requested to come, but the number was 318 who showed up. And out of the 318, about 13 of those were followers of Arius. Now, Arius is very important because Arianism, he learned that from Lucian. Lucian was the teacher of Constantine's mother, Helena, and Eusebius to a certain degree. But Arian was like, no, Jesus is a created being who is trying to get us how to understand how to get back to the Father. So he was teaching kind of a Gnostic teaching. So they were fighting. So they called the Council of Nicaea to determine Jesus. That was the whole thing. It wasn't about determine the teachings of Jesus and what doctrine should be established about Jesus, and to organize the church so that everybody practiced worshiping Easter and his birthday on the same day. And so Athanasius was charged with that. He was a bishop out of Alexandria, Egypt as well. So they called that meeting. They argued about it for days. There's the story about Jerome getting up, slapping the shit out of Arius because Arius was making good points. Jerome then, that was a crime. Jerome was sent to jail. Supposedly Jesus came down and spoke to Jerome, and he forgave him, and Jerome was allowed back in after he told the people that Jesus had visited him and he was sorry. And so by the end of it, but because of that ass whooping that Arius endured, he then said that he signs this creed with a heavy heart, and the Nicene Creed came out of it, which makes Jesus the Son of God and one with God, homoousis, meaning they are of one substance. And then Athanasius was charged with telling the Roman Empire, the Christians in the Roman Empire, when they would celebrate Christmas and Passover every year. And then, so that was the beginning of the organization of the Roman Catholic Church, and the church that would then have the military might and the finances of Rome, which allowed for Christianity to eventually take over the Roman Empire, because 60 plus years later, well, about 34 years later, 34, 35 years later is when the books that Athanasius kept saying, these should be the Gospels. This should be the canon of the Bible, that finally got adopted. And then 20 some odd years, 30 some odd years after that is when Theodosius made Rome Christian. But the Council of Nicaea was only to determine what Jesus was made of, and to the beginnings of the organization of Christianity. So hopefully that answered you. That was sufficient enough information there about the Council of Nicaea. There's a lot of myths about the Council of Nicaea. There's the myth that, oh, they put all the scrolls on the table, and whatever fell off the table was kicked out of the Bible, and what stayed on the table became the canon. That's myth. That Constantine was Christian, that's myth. So, and of course, Jesus visiting Jerome, that's myth. It's amazing to me how people can claim that Jesus visited them and people just accept it, especially if you are a person in high regard. If you're a person in high regard, You can claim Jesus came and visited you, and people will accept it. But yes, then Rome picked it up and messed everything, and everything got messed up. Even though I will say, even if Rome hadn't picked it up, everything still would have got messed up. Everything still would have got messed up. Would Theodosius have still did the same thing in saying that I'm going to rule the Roman Empire through religion? It's possible. It would have been much more difficult, because if the Council of Nicaea hadn't happened, there still would have been a growth in Christianity throughout the Roman Empire, but there would have been the continued growth of, well, see, Apollo, the worshiping Apollo and Sol Invictus was still an elite, rich people religion, but you still would have had that religion because you're always going to have rich people. The worship of Serapis would have been competitive to Christianity. Mithraism would have still would have continued through the military. So it would have been a hodgepodge. Theodosius would not have been able to bring everyone under one religion. So there's no telling. When the Vandals would have came in, it would have changed some things up, even though some of them were already Christians, because they had served under Rome. Some had served under Rome. It would have been a big hodgepodge. There ain't no telling what direction everything would have went. Islam would not have been created. There wouldn't be no Islam. So I guess you can say it kind of messed that up, because there would be no Islam, because Islam is based off of Christianity. So that I gotta say, that has been one of the major that was a major defining point in our history. Because there's no telling what, if any, dominant religion would have spread through Europe. And that's the main thing. Would a dominant religion have taken over Europe? And if Europe would have still been a hodgepodge of religions, then when they started their colonization process out of necessity, then there's no telling. People might have been able to maintain their own religions. Yeah, people might have been able to maintain their own religion. That's an interesting thought experiment. I wonder if, so there's a guy whose channel I listen to sometimes, Alternate History Hub on YouTube. Sometimes he does things like that. I'm gonna check to see if he's ever done a video about that, because then half my research will be done if he did it, because he does a lot of good research. That's why I like his channel, before he comes to his conclusions. Who knows? I might still be. I don't think that would have stopped things like the transatlantic slave trade. It would not have stopped the trans-Saharan slave trade. It wouldn't have stopped the trans-Indian slave trade. It wouldn't have stopped colonization of the Americas and Africa and India. It wouldn't have stopped the Arab nation from conquering North Africa and into the Iberian Peninsula. It wouldn't have stopped any of those things. They just would have had different religions. The pagan religion, I hate that word pagan. The polytheistic religion of the Arab nation would have just been the religion of the Arab nation, and then that would have been part of going into the Iberian Peninsula. They still would have made their advancements in mathematics and hygiene and things like that. All scientific advancements that were made under Christianity would still have been made. There might have just been more. There might have just been more. Dude, this is the wrong channel to come on here with the, your family may not be out of Africa, but mine sure hell is. So stop with that generalized bullshit of we all are indigenous, because we're not. I know where my family comes from. And because you don't, that ain't my problem. But even for the Native, even for the true Native Americans, there, what the 5 civilized tribes, how would that have worked? Because it would it have forced them into, what religion would they may have been forced into? Would it have been Christianity? Would it have been Norse mythologies? Like, what would have been the religion of the Anglicans? Would they have been Druid, some form of being Druid? So these 5 civilized tribes that they call them, who made the treaty with the colonies, they, well, it was America at that time frame, they may have been able to maintain their ancestral religion, or they became Druids with a mixture of their ancestral religion. Would manifest destiny have happened? I think it still would have happened. It just wouldn't have been called manifest destiny. So there's a lot of pivotal points in history that if things were different, our today would be vastly different, almost unimaginable. So I'm not even going to answer that question because I don't want to get into that conversation. Mithra didn't sacrifice himself for humanity. He didn't need to. Mithra sacrificed the cosmic bull for humanity. You see, that's one of those things about Christianity that I always find interesting. That it's one thing to have a bloodlust to sacrifice animals. I think that's wrong. I don't like that personally myself. But then the fact that you think sacrificing a human being has more value and is more pleasing to the mind, I find that to be repugnant. Mithra sacrificed the cosmic bull, and the blood of that sacrifice provided light and protection. Well, he provides the light, Mithra provides the light, but it provided protection for humanity against the cosmic evils. You see, Mithraism is more in line with polarity, the law of polarity, that there is good and there's evil, and then there's a million degrees in between. The sacrifice of the cosmic bull protects humanity from the cosmic evil, which is the same damn thing that the sacrifice of Jesus and his blood is supposed to represent: salvation from the spiritual evil. So Jesus' sacrifice is no better than Mithra fighting and sacrificing the cosmic bull. I know y'all like to hang your hat on that, but you might as well, sacrificing Jesus, you might as well sacrifice some babies. It all got the same level of connotation to me. It all got the same thing to me. Hey, they're gonna do what they do. The fact that any religion says if you sacrifice something, then that gives you some type of protection or salvation, I think is one of the, I think it's a terrible mindset. It's a terrible mindset. Just terrible, terrible, terrible. Okay, so even if your number was right, which your number is wrong, there's not 3.5 million Christians. It's actually 2.3 billion Christians. So you actually have more. You have more. That just means that there's more people who just believe in it, more people who were indoctrinated into it, more people who were forced into this religion and have continued to be indoctrinated and forced. Numbers don't mean truth, because if that's the case, what are you going to say in 30 years when there are more Muslims on the planet than there are Christians? You see how that is a terrible argument to make? Because 30 years from now, and hopefully you'll still be alive, that argument will not be able to work, because then you would have to say Islam is correct because there's more Muslims on the planet than there are Christians. So what did Thomas Jefferson teach about? The tyranny of the majority. So, and it's easy to explain why there are more Christians. The Roman Empire took up Christianity, which then caused for the Europeans to take up Christianity. And when the Europeans went out and they started colonizing lands, they forced people to become Christian through guns and swords and threatening of life. And then they had slavery and multiple facets of slavery. And through that multiple facets of slavery, they forced people to be Christian. Even when they had treaties with these 5 civilized tribes, as I was speaking of earlier, they forced them to become Christian in order to sign the treaty. So the reason why you have more Christians is through financial manipulation and war, violence. The reason that's why you have 2.3 billion Christians. Violence. It was not spread through love. That's for damn sure. That is for damn sure. Christianity is definitely not a religion that was spread through the love of other human beings. And it's so interesting now. Is Christianity today better than Christianity was 400 years ago? I would say yes to that. See, I can be fair. Christianity today is better than how Christianity was 400 years ago. Because 400 years ago, Christianity said that, and Christians followed the Bible in having slaves. They followed the Bible in how they treated women as second-class citizens or property. They followed the Bible how children were treated as property. So I'm glad that Christianity has adjusted to a higher moral standard than what the Bible has, and that they have become more secular. So Christianity today is better than Christianity was 400 years ago, most certainly. And if you if you can't see that, then you're just purposely being an ass, being dumb, purposely being dumb. You're purposely accepting and believing that the way you see Christianity today is the way that God has always meant it to be, and it's the right way. And 500 years from now, people will look back at 2025 and say most Christians weren't practicing Christianity properly. And that's the funny thing about it. Every generation of Christians always think that they are practicing Christianity the right way. Whether you have slaves or not, whether you treat women as property or not, whether you say that if a young girl is not married, is not a virgin on her wedding night, then you can stone her, and you take it to her father's front door and stone her unless the father provides the evidence of her virginity. That's a law. When they followed that law, they thought they was doing right. They was following this God the way that this God wanted to be followed. You know, the same way y'all be talking to Fred, I don't understand why y'all keep talking to Rupert either. Rupert never provides anything concrete. He always just say, I'm telling you, the information's there. You got to find it. You just got. If I was going to try to use the Bible to teach and understand a true what I would call a true understanding of God, if that was my mode, I'm going to be specific on those things. I'm not going to sit up here and just be vague and say, oh, you just got to read it. All you got to do is just read it. You just read that Bible, man. I don't know how Rupert sounds. This is how Rupert sounded to me. You just got to read. Nah, that is not how Rupert sounded to me. But anyway, Rupert is probably sitting there, and he's one of those who's just typing. He's a keyboard warrior. You know, you just got to read the Bible, and if you read the Bible, God gonna show you the way. You know, it's in the Bible. You just got to open yourself up to God, and then God's gonna show you the secret code. You just got to read it, and as you read it, then the secret code come to you, and then God will lead you to the real information. He'll show you how they've, you know, taken the information and made false gods out of it, and then, you know, disrupt what God was really trying to do. But if you just read it, then you're gonna find it, and then you just got to open yourself up and pray to God, and then He gonna bring it to you. You know what I'm saying? You ain't all of that to say nothing. To say nothing. It's just like whoever the guy on Facebook, YouTube, sit up here talking about something. We all indigenous Americans. Okay. Let's say I agree with you. What you gonna do with it? What you doing about it? Are you getting some land? Are you building your casino? Are you your own sovereign nation on that land inside of America? Are you doing any of those things? Yes. You're preaching and preaching and preaching like a Hebrew Israelite, and you ain't doing shit with it. Get your land. Build your own community. Build your town. Build your casino, or whatever industry you want to go into. Go build something that benefits the group of people that you claim to be indigenous. Because if you just sit on your ass, just want to come on people's, go online and just be like, we indigenous, we indigenous, we indigenous. They teaching wrong history. We indigenous. Okay, that means you locked into America. But what you gonna do with it? What you doing about it? How are you making life better for anybody? I'm just saying. Don't make any sense to me. See, I told you. You're looking at it from you're looking at it from a religious perspective. Look at it from a spiritual perspective. Because when you look at it from a spiritual perspective, then God will show you in the Bible what His true words are. When you see His true words, then you'll understand, you know, from the Spirit of what God really wants you to know. And of course, if it disagrees with what I say, then you weren't looking at it right, and you need to go back and pray some more so that God can show you the spiritual perspective of it, because you're still looking at it from a religious perspective. Because I'm not going to tell you anything, because if I tell you anything specific, then you'll be able to challenge it. And I don't want to be challenged, because I live in my little hole, and I look at nature and I see God, and that's all I have. I don't have anything to back that up or support it. I can't validate any of it. I can't show consciousness in the wind or in a hurricane or a tornado or why things happen. This is just, you know, how I see it, you know, through the spirit eye. When you have the same spirit eye, you'll be saying the same general things, and we'll have a conversation. And we'll say, yes, we believe in God. The true God has shown us in spirit how everything in nature is God, and God is nature. And all we got to do is learn how to commune with nature. Even though we'll have different perspectives and experiences, God will show us in nature exactly what it is. And that's the true understanding of God. And it's in the Bible, because we don't get that from the Vedics. We don't look at the Upanishads or any other spiritual book. No, we just get it from this book that we were indoctrinated into, and now we just want to hold on to it because we have an emotional attachment to it. And with that emotional attachment, we want to grow and from that and separate ourselves from the ones who have used this Bible to do evil things. So yeah, you're just looking at it from a religious perspective. That's my Rupert voice. That's how Rupert sounds to me. Uh, uh, who sold it, man? Mm-hmm. Pretty much, I can't say everything, but pretty much the majority, a lot of the enlightenment type things that the Jesus is said to have talked about, Buddha had already talked about it, 500-600 years earlier. Buddha had already said those things. See? Exactly, Coach Rance. Now you're getting it. Now you're on the pathway now, Coach Rance. Now you're getting it right. You just have to see things from the spirit eye, just spiritual. So if you see the lion eating the antelope, then the antelope eating the grass, and then the lion dies and becomes the grass, then you see the circle of life, and so that's God. You're getting it, Coach Rance. You're almost there. You're almost there. Oh man. Yeah, most of the things we're taught. Yeah. I would rather follow Buddhism than follow the Jesus character, because at least in Buddhism there's no slavery. I don't know how they treat women in Buddhism. I've actually never investigated it. I haven't seen anything. I didn't read anything in Buddhism that would suggest women are treated one way or another. But I do have to wonder. Well, no, women aren't treated equally in Buddhism. Yeah, they're not. Do I got any Buddhists on here? I'm wondering, do I have any Buddhists on here? Because I've never seen a woman as a Buddhist monk. I've seen women who pretty much are at the monasteries and they feed, they are helpers to the Buddhist monk. But I've never seen a woman who is a monk and sit in that position. Was Buddha a Freemason? No, no. So I think Buddhism is a product of that same patriarchal mindset. Yeah. Would like would like to hear your perspective on this journey and where it's heading, Coach. In the words of William Wallace, freedom. That's where it's headed. Freedom of the mind, freedom of emotional strife. Uh, Deconstructing from religion allows you to be able to see the world as it is and to see yourself truly as you are. You're good and you're bad, and that is based on the general morality and your own personal morality. Many like to call it dealing with your shadow self, but also seeing the great parts about yourself. And freedom from religion allows you to be able to distinguish the difference between saying that, oh, I need to change this part about me because even though I enjoy it, even though I like it, even though I think it's a good thing, but the religion says it's a bad thing. The freedom is that it's not a bad thing. As long as it's not hurting anyone else or you're not taking away anyone else's opportunity to become whatever they desire to be, that does not harm anybody else, then you have the right to dig deeper into that aspect of yourself and become a better version of yourself, and a happier version of yourself, become happy with yourself, to find peace within yourself. Because many people in the religion struggle with the aspect of, I need to stop doing X, Y, and Z, because according to this religion, X, Y, and Z is a sin. But when that is not, when you get rid of the idea of these sins, then you can actually enjoy your life. And when you're enjoying your life and you're more happy and you're more peaceful, then you become more enlightened as to how things that you do, say, and think affects other people, affects the world around you. And you learn how to manifest your own better life, better family, better community, better nation, better world. And it's through that process of knowing who you are. Knowing who you are. Not knowing who you are in some, oh, I'm a God, I'm a spirit. Just know who you are. Because the only thing you can ever possibly know, and the deepest thing that you will know, is yourself. So it leads to freedom. Oh, somebody finally want to come up. You believe in Buddha, but I never said I believe in Buddha. See, that's what y'all be doing. Y'all be doing that dumb shit like that. That's
How's it going?
How you doing, sir? What's your name?
Brandon.
Brandon?
Brandon, yeah.
All right, Brandon, are you over 21?
Yeah. I am.
Good. And based on your your name there, I'm assuming that you are a believer in Jesus.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, cool. So,
Do you believe in God?
excuse me?
Do you believe in God?
No. So, which one?
No, because I see on your neck there you got an evil eye.
Has
How
no,
does that help you?
it looks good with my clothes. Like if I were wearing something else,
evil.
if I was wearing something else that didn't look good with, I would wear some other jewelry.
So your stance is that you don't believe in God, right?
Yeah, I just said that. I don't believe in God.
Okay.
And this is
But I'm a
just
Christian.
jewelry, so it doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay. I believe in the only true God, and that is Jesus Christ.
Okay. What's your proof that he is God and that he is the only true God? You got proof of it? And your feelings
So you want proof from the Bible?
And your belief and testimony is not proof.
You want proof from the Bible, sir?
Where do you get your belief from? Where do you get, how can you prove this to be true? Whatever you decide to utilize is whatever you decide to utilize.
Okay, so the Bible does teach that Jesus is God very clearly.
And the Upanishads teach that Brahma is God very clearly.
Did they see their fake God rise from the dead?
What does that matter? Why does that have to be a criteria for somebody else's religion?
Because it's eyewitness testimony, brother.
So is theirs. They say theirs is eyewitness testimony as well.
So they seen the so-called God rise from the dead.
Did you see them? Did you see Brahma and his other aspects save Manu from the flood?
I don't even know what you're talking about, brother.
Exactly.
I don't know what movie tells.
Exactly. Yours is a fairy tale to them just as much as theirs is a fairy tale to you.
Not really. Jesus is the most written about person in history.
Say that again.
Jesus Christ is the most written about person in history.
No, he's the most copied person in history.
Most written about.
Okay.
You go look it up.
So what? Even if I grant you that, because there are many other authors who write different books about Jesus, so I'll give you that. Here's the thing about that. So what? What does that prove?
Just to prove that Jesus is not a fairy tale, that he did exist.
That
And
doesn't.
people did see him die on a cross.
That doesn't.
And that people saw him alive 3 days later.
Sir. People writing about someone, that is not proof that someone existed.
Yes, it is. How do you know anyone existed in the first century?
Well, we know certain people existed because we have coins minted in their name. We have portraits that were done in contemporary time frames of their life. Like we have portraits of Nero on coins. We have coinage of Nero from when he was younger to when he got middle-aged to when he got older. So we can see the progression, and these coins were minted in the years that Nero was alive.
That still doesn't mean that he existed.
Yeah, it does. That's more proof. That's more proof than your Bible. And we have contemporaries who wrote about him. Do we have any contemporaries of Jesus?
Any contemporary? No, but we got eyewitness testimony.
Do you know what that is? Those none of those were written during the time frame of Jesus, nor were they written by anyone who supposedly walked with Jesus. Those were anonymously written books until Irenaeus gave them names in 180.
Yeah, but scholars would argue that Mark's gospel was written about 70 AD.
Okay, by who?
By Mark.
Nope, it's anonymous. No scholar is going to say that they definitely know that Mark wrote it. All of them were anonymous. All of them. All of them.
Teaches.
I don't care what the church teach. The temples. The temples teach that Brahma was God. The temples teach it.
I still don't get who is Brahma. Like what are you talking about, man?
Brahma is the Hindu chief deity.
Okay. I couldn't care less about him though, but that's
okay. So, well, that's the point. Then I could care less about Jesus. So does that give it any validity? So since you could care less about the Brahman, since you can care less about Brahman, then I can care less about Jesus. So now they're both standing on equal planes, right?
So why do you talk about Jesus on a daily basis if you don't care about him?
What's
always your number one topic.
What's the name of my channel? Deconstructing Christianity. So if my channel was called NBA Scout, would you fault me for talking about the NBA every day?
But why do you care if people do?
If my channel was called NBA Scout, would you fault me for talking about the NBA every day?
No.
Exactly. So don't come on here and try to fault me for talking about your Jesus character or any other character in the Bible if my channel is called Deconstructing Christianity.
Okay, but what does it matter if someone does believe in Jesus? Why are you trying to make them not believe? What's the difference?
What makes you think that I am here to make people not believe? My channel is dedicated for people who have already made that decision. You believers choose to come on this channel. Did I send you an invite, or did you request to come up?
I requested to come
up. Right. So you could have just scrolled on by, right?
Okay, I'm not sure about what your page is about.
Could you have just scrolled by?
No, but what I'm trying to say is,
could you have scrolled by? Could you have just scrolled by?
I could have done that, yeah.
Right. So that means since I did not send you an invitation and you sent a request and you had the power to scroll by, I did not target you. So I am not here trying to convince you. So don't make that statement that I'm trying to convince people.
I'm just saying, if you don't believe in it, why are you so obsessed with it? It's like you want it to be true.
Because this channel is here to help people who have made that decision to walk away from Christianity. What country are you in?
South Africa.
You're in South Africa. Oh, I see. Do y'all still have the Boer party?
Do we still have what?
The political party called the Boers. Or Whigs.
I don't think they're a party anymore.
Yeah, okay. So, but you have political parties in South Africa, right? I can't remember what they are.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you are in one party, if you're in one party and you talking about the other party all the time because you're against that party, would you complain about that person? Would you complain to that person? Would you say they're obsessed with the other party, or are they strong within their own party?
There is a completely different topic, you know.
If
But like Christianity, I'm talking about God. It shows that you have some interest though.
No, I don't have that. I don't have the type of interest that you're trying to put on me. My interest, and I'm gonna say it again, my interest is in helping people who have decided to walk away from Christianity. That is my interest. You with me?
Okay. But now can I ask you something?
Sure.
So you would call yourself an atheist, right?
Sure.
So you don't believe that there's a God or God, you know?
No.
Probably. Does it make any sense?
Yes, it does.
So where did the universe come from?
Are you talking about the universe or our known universe? Because there is a difference between the two.
The known universe.
Well, our known universe most likely came from a singularity, from the output of a singularity.
Do you believe that your grandfather is a monkey?
No. Why would I ever do that? I know my grandfather. I know he's not. He's a human.
Well, like I'm talking about your great grandfather.
Still
You know,
human.
like they say that we came from apes. So would you accept it?
No, because that's not what it says. And nobody
That's
else.
what it does.
No one who looks at evolution says that people came from apes. That humans, the Homo sapien, came from apes. Because let me explain it to you so that you won't make this. And I understand the common apologist or Christian thing is to say that evolution is people came from monkeys. That's not how evolution works at all. That's not how the theory goes. It goes that there was a common ancestor. From that common ancestor, you had split offs because of either environment, most likely because of environmental things. One split became monkeys. Another split eventually becomes the great apes. Another split becomes the different hominids. From the hominids, so we have a common ancestor, but then we did not come from apes. We came from a common ancestors, and then apes came from another branch of that common ancestor, and another branch created monkeys, and so on and so forth. Do you understand now?
I understand a little bit, yeah.
So we don't come from apes. No person who actually understands evolution says that we come from apes.
Yeah, I'm just saying, bro, like, you know, like it's difficult to say that there's no God because you're not 100% sure, right?
Yeah, I'm 100% sure there's no God. There's absolutely nothing in the universe that demonstrates that there is a God.
So when you die, what happens to you?
Nobody knows. Not one single person has any evidence of a life after death. There is zero proof. There's zero proof of life after death.
Well, some people die and then they come back.
No, they didn't. They had nope. They've had near-death experiences, but they didn't
that's
die.
what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's near. The reason why we call it a near-death experience because they were close to death, not actually dead. We may even call them clinically. We even have a separation saying where they were clinically dead or medically dead. But that is saying that to our level of medical and scientific knowledge, we are considering them to be dead. But we don't really know the level that a person actually dies until there is complete and total cessation of life as we know it. And no one has ever come back from total cessation of life.
Except for Jesus Christ, right?
No, we have no proof of that whatsoever.
Eyewitness testimony, brother. Aren't you hearing me?
None of these people were eyewitnesses to Jesus. I hear you, but those are claims. There's a difference between a claim and an answer. What you are providing is a claim, not an answer. An answer is based on the ability to prove it. A claim is based on your feelings, your beliefs, or circumstantial evidence. And that's at best, you have circumstantial evidence.
Okay. So, can I ask you something? Have you ever heard of Jesus' mother appearing to people?
I've heard people make the claim, but no one has ever.
17,000 people at the same time.
I've heard people make the claim. No one has ever been able to establish those claims to be true.
Okay, but like it's Zatu in Egypt, right?
In where?
1 million eyewitnesses saw her. Now, if she's living, that means Jesus did rise from the dead. That's stronger evidence for the resurrection than the eyewitnesses itself.
That would not be, but you can't. You first have to prove that happened. What did you call it? The where in Egypt? Because I'm gonna look this up real quick.
Zatu in Egypt. You can go look it up. It's on YouTube.
I'm not going to a YouTube video. What do you spell it? Spell it. Where in Egypt?
Zatu.
Spell it.
I can't spell it. Like I can't spell it. I'm gonna give you the wrong.
Oh, I'm trying to understand it. Let's see. That's the way I can put this in here.
Just put the Zatu in Egypt, Virgin Mary appears, and you'll get a lot of. And the President Nasser at the time even confirmed it and said that it's a miracle. Like these things were happening. How do you explain that?
You asked me to explain a politician making a claim, really. You do know who America. You do realize who America has as the president right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like this man faked getting shot in the ear, and still claiming that he got shot in the ear.
I can agree on it.
No, because if a bullet had passed by his ear, one, the blood splatter would have went towards the back of his head, and none of the blood splatter went to the back of his head. Two, the ear would have been ripped off. The top of the ear would have been ripped completely off. And in my time serving in the Marine Corps, I've seen people, what happens when a bullet whizzes past any part of their flesh. Okay, so, okay, this is how you spell it. Oh, Zeitun. Okay, now I see your accent is why I couldn't understand. I couldn't like phonetically hear it myself. All right. So they're saying the evidence was witnessed. Oh, they're saying the evidence was recorded. Let's see if we can find this recording.
And there was 1 million witnesses, and a lot of them are Muslim. You should check out their testimonies, brother.
I'm gonna check it out. I'm looking for a video that shows I see a bunch of people just talking.
Okay, but can we agree on something? If the Virgin Mary is appearing to people and living, that means that Jesus rose from the dead.
No, it doesn't. Right? No, it doesn't mean that at all.
Oh, okay.
That is not an A plus B equals C. That's more of you saying A plus B equals F. I mean, it really is. I mean, to prove that Jesus rose from the dead, you got to prove that Jesus rose from the dead. Not, oh, people saw a light show that they are claiming to be Mary. And because I would investigate this deeper to see if it was an optical illusion. Because
can 1 million people have an illusion, brother?
Yeah, they can. Yeah, people do pareidolia all the time. Pareidolia happens in groups all the time. So yes. And optical illusions happen where people all think they're seeing the same thing that happens. Hell, I had a bunch of people. I saw a bunch of people standing outside thinking they saw a space. I saw a bunch of people standing outside thinking they were seeing an alien spaceship. And they all agreed that they were seeing an alien spaceship until I showed up and like, no, there was searchlights over at the hotel.
It's so beautiful, bro. But what about all the people that were being healed of all their sicknesses?
Yeah, it's not been
testimony. Look at the testimony here.
Testimony of people being, so I can find people who will testify that they were healed by Brahma, that they were healed by Mama Wata. You can find testimonies of people claiming healings all over the place. I will research this site of Mary, but I got to do more research on it. I'm not going to just accept it as it.
You're probably going to become a Christian again, right?
Oh, it's highly unlikely.
Never say never.
No, it's highly unlikely because the Bible is a terrible book. I would never even let me make sure you understand this correctly. Even if you were able to prove that the God of the Bible is God, I would not worship that God.
So let me get this right? The God of the Bible comes down, puts on human flesh, dies on the cross for you, so that you don't go to hell, and you're still saying that you won't worship this God.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh.
There's an evil God. The God of the Bible is evil as fuck. I would not worship this God.
Okay, why is he evil though? Why?
Any God that will put down a law that says that if a young girl is not a virgin on her wedding day, that she is to be taken in front of her father's house and stoned to death, unless the father can produce the proof of her virginity, that's evil as fuck. Yeah.
Okay, but no, that's the law of Moses, right?
But did this God give those instructions?
Not really, not word for word. You know what I say?
Oh my God. Seriously.
Even when the Pharisees, okay, hold on. Like even when the Pharisees were like questioning Jesus on like marriage and like on getting the divorced and all those things, Jesus says, "What did Moses tell you?"
Well, that was you see you're choosing something that is completely different from what I gave the example of. I'm not worshiping a God that says that a young girl who is not married, who is not a virgin, should be stoned on her wedding day. That is evil. That's why we don't. That's why we don't do it today. Huh?
Okay, what is that verse?
It's in Judges. Hold on, I have to find it. I don't know. It might not be in Judges. Hold on.
I never find anything with Jesus, right? Show me something from the New Testament that's bad. Because God is speaking in first person, right?
I'm sorry. So, excuse me.
Jesus Christ.
Excuse me. I handle things one at a time here. We're not just jumping and jumping and jumping and jumping. It's Deuteronomy 22, which Deuteronomy is the second law, which Deuteronomy is the law that God gave to Moses. So are you going to discount the laws that God gave to Moses?
I'm just saying that Moses gave certain laws because of the hardness of the people's hearts, and Jesus called that up.
No, he gave that one law, that one thing that was the hardness of the people's heart. And y'all would try to use that for everything else.
No, but if you actually read the Sermon on the Mount, right? Jesus says, "You have heard that it was said, but I say to you." Like he continuously says that.
Are you not?
You have heard that it was said,
do you not?
I say to you.
Do you not understand words and sentences and phrases?
I understand them pretty well.
Okay, so that one law does not and cannot overcome every other law that you don't like. Because if I utilize your line of thinking, then I can say, do not steal. Well, that was just the hardness of man's heart. And God, that was Moses' law. God didn't tell God, we ain't got to listen to that.
No, what Jesus was actually doing was making it more difficult.
I'm,
Like, for example,
no,
you shall not commit adultery. But a man that looks at a woman with lust has committed adultery already in his heart, right? Jesus is making the law more difficult.
no, actually,
Think about it.
that translation is not the way, not how the doctrine teaches it today. It is not talking about any woman whatsoever. Are you talking about, do you think that that means any woman? That if a man looks at any woman lustfully, that is talking about every woman?
It says if a man looks at a woman with lust, he has committed adultery with her.
Okay,
That's
so
what the verse says. So
can a man commit adultery with a single woman?
he's talking about in his heart, though.
Can a man commit adultery, even in his heart, with a single woman?
Yeah, because he's looking with lust.
How can you commit adultery with a single woman when adultery can only be committed with a woman who has been betrothed to a man or is married to a man?
If you sleep with someone outside of marriage, that is adultery.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You need to look up what adultery meant in the Bible and what adultery even still means today in most countries.
That's why I'm not Bible alone.
No, actually, you're looking at what adultery means today. But when two unmarried people sleep with each other, that is not adultery. When a man sleeps with a woman and he's married, in today's world, that's considered adultery. But in first century and earlier, and even after first century, really more like 14th century and back, adultery is only when you sleep with another man's wife, or a woman who's been betrothed to another man.
Can you show God or any prophet that's confirming what you're saying, that two people can sleep together and it's okay? Like there's no problem with it. Can you show me any verse?
When two people sleep together who are not married, they either become married at that moment or they have committed what has been changed in the Septuagint to fornication. All right. Now, fornication developed into two single people sleeping with each other. Fornication wasn't originally not that. So fornication is anything that is considered to be a sexual immorality. Right. But when two people who sleep together, and you can't look at it from your modern mindset when you're reading this, you have to see it from how they viewed it. When two people back in the day had sex, that was the culmination of them being married. So you're not committing adultery. This is why in Leviticus it says that if a young woman who is not betrothed to a man is raped by another man, that man then pays the father the bride price and she now becomes his wife.
Can you show me the word rape in the Hebrew?
But first, let's go back to, no, you went away from the other part that I was talking about. So let's go back. Live discontinued in some regions. Okay, I don't care. Okay, I don't care if the live is being restricted. So in Deuteronomy 22, these are commands that God has given to Moses, and he's going through this long ass list of commands to the people. And in verse 13, it says, suppose a man marries a woman, but after going into her, dislikes her and makes up charges against her, slandering her by saying, I married this woman, but when I lay with her, I did not find evidence of her virginity. The father of the young woman and her mother shall then submit the evidence of the young woman's virginity to the elders of the city at the gate. The father of the young woman shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he disliked her, and now he has made up charges against her, saying, I did not find evidence of your daughter's virginity. But here is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. Then shall they spread out the cloth before the elders of the town. So they put a cloth on the people when they had sex for the first time. The elders of that town then shall take the man and punish him, because if she didn't bleed, she then was not considered a virgin. The first time she had sex. They shall fine him 100 shekels of silver, which they shall give to the young woman's father, because he has slandered the virgin of a virgin of Israel. She shall remain his wife and shall not be permitted, and he shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as they live. If, however, the charge is true, that the evidence of the young woman's virginity is not found, then they shall bring the young woman out of the entrance of her father's house, and the men of the town shall stone her to death, because she committed a disgraceful act in Israel by prostituting herself in her father's house. So shall you purge the evil from your midst. This is a command given by this God. Amen.
That's perfect, right?
Yes.
Do the Pharisees not quote this to Jesus?
What?
And what does Jesus say?
Did the Pharisees do what?
Don't they quote the same verse to Jesus?
Nope.
In John chapter 8?
Nope.
When they wanted to stone the woman caught in adultery?
Nope.
Yes, they do. Go to John 8.
No, they do not. No. Okay, so first, that story in the Bible was added to John later on. It's not in the original. The oldest text of John does not have that verse, that story in it. So first of all, that story was added to the Bible. Second aspect of it, that story is not talking about Deuteronomy 22. That story is talking about a woman who is already married and then had sex with another man, because women were viewed as men's property during that time frame. So no, that story is not talking about that. They did not quote this to Jesus, and they never brought this up to Jesus.
Okay. But don't you get that's the reason why Jesus came to set us free from the law? Because those who are under the law are subject to like death, you know?
No, because
like no one can
nope.
keep the law.
Nope. Jesus said, until heaven and earth passes away, not one tittle of the law shall be removed. So, and
but then you didn't carry on. And then what is Jesus? And what law is Jesus talking about? He carries on talking.
Yeah, he's talking about. Yeah, he's talking about the old.
I'll say to you.
He's talking about all the old laws.
He's talking about his law.
No, he's not. He's talking about the law. No, he is not. He is talking about the laws of Moses, just like he says, do what the Pharisees tell you because they sit on the throne of Moses. Yet do not do what they do because they do not follow the laws of Moses. Jesus reiterates that you are to follow the laws of Moses that were given by Moses.
Can you do me a favor, brother?
Uh-huh.
Can you go to First Corinthians chapter 9, 20 to 21? 1 Corinthians 9.
What verse?
Verses 20 to 21.
Okay, so we're talking about Paul here.
Yeah.
To those outside the law, I became as one outside the law through though I am not outside God's law, but I am within Christ's law, so that I might gain those outside the law. To the weak, I become weak so that I might gain the weak. I have become all things to all people, that I might by all means save some. I do it all for the sake of the gospel, so that I might become a partner in it.
Okay, so what Paul's saying is he's no more under the law, but he's under Christ's law, right? The law of Christ. And he says it again in the book of Galatians chapter 6, verse 3. He talks about that same law of Christ.
Now, Paul is, but Paul is not saying the same thing that Jesus is saying. Most scholars recognize that Paul is in contradiction to Jesus.
No, he's really not. You know what? If you go to the book of Isaiah, right? servant that has to come. It says he's coming with his law.
Isaiah,
Now, when you read it in the
Isaiah 50. No, sir. Isaiah 53 is talking about.
I'm talking about that.
They're talking.
Isaiah 42. Isaiah 42, sir.
And
That's what I'm talking about.
from Isaiah 41 through 42, all the way through 53, is all saying that it reiterates that the servant is Israel. The servant isn't Jesus. What you're doing is you're doing the popular doctrine of shadows and illusions. But the prophecies in Isaiah 41 all the way to 53 is talking about the Israelites being freed from the Babylonians. Israel as a people group is the suffering servant, not Jesus.
Okay. Why does it say that this servant, God, that this servant is going to come with his Torah, with his law? Did you read it? Isaiah 42,
Sir,
verses 4.
sir.
And Matthew says
Sir,
that it's Jesus.
Isaiah is talking about Israel as a people group, as the servant. The writer of Matthew was a Greek writer who did not understand the Hebrew and tried to quote that and make that fit into the Jesus narrative. If you read any scholarship on that outside of apologists, you will see that not one biblical scholar thinks that the suffering servant or the servants in Isaiah is talking about Jesus. They all know that they are talking about Israel. Because prior to that, like in 41 and in 42, he says that Jacob was my servant. Israel is my servant. He takes the pluralization of Israel and gives them the singular of servant. So when we get to the suffering servant, it's talking about Israel as a pluralized group being spoken of in a singular.
So you're saying that Israel is the one that's going to intercede for the people, right?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Israel is the suffering servant.
Isaiah 59, Yahweh said, it says there that Yahweh looked and there was no one to intercede. There was no man. And he was astonished. It says Yahweh's own arm brought salvation. Yahweh to do it alone.
Because and guess what? They were able to return back when Darius freed them from captivity.
No, bro. No,
so they suffered under Babylonian captivity. They suffered under Babylonian. Look, you have your belief, and I respect that. But if you're having a conversation, you are not listening to anything that is being said. You still, and if you choose to still be there, you can. You are still trying to say that even though Isaiah 41 all the way up to 49, 59, 53 is still talking about Israel as the sufferings, as the servant. It is not talking about Jesus. And if you did any research, you would realize that. Well, no, you wouldn't, because you're stuck. You have to have confirmation bias. So there's no point in going in a circle on this, because there's zero that you can say that demonstrates that Isaiah is not talking about the people of Israel.
So Israel is going to intercede for themselves, right?
Oh my gosh.
Is that what you're saying? Does that make any sense?
Yes, Israel, the servant spoken of in Isaiah is Israel. So whatever it says about the servant, it is talking about Israel. Whatever it is saying during that time frame, it is talking about them coming out of Babylonian captivity. You don't have to accept it, but that's what it says. That's what it is talking about. Not one scholar that's a non-apologist would agree. You just went. You were muffled. You're muffled. I didn't hear you.
I was saying that I really don't think that you understand the Bible, bro.
Well, that's what you just said. And you have the right to think that way all you want to. And although you call me an idiot, I think that you are in a mass delusion. And so you are walking around delusional. which makes you a bigger idiot because the facts are in your face and you refuse to accept them, which then takes you from being an idiot to being dumb as fuck, since you want to cast disparaging words around.
Okay, when did I call you idiot?
You just called me an idiot, dude.
No, I said that you don't understand the Bible. I never called you an idiot.
Yes, you did. You said I don't think you understand the Bible, and you said out in the midst of me talking, you said that I'm an idiot.
No, maybe you never heard me correctly. I never called you an idiot.
You know what? If I will, because of the morals that I have, I will give you the benefit of the doubt. If you claim that you didn't say it, because I know I was talking at that time frame, so it's possible I didn't hear it. So I heard it incorrectly. So I apologize for calling you an idiot and dumb as fuck if you didn't call me an idiot. And since you're claiming that, I'm going to accept that. Because that's where my moral barometer is.
I don't know what you're hearing.
That's what I thought you said. I mean, even though other people are saying that you did say it, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, and we're done with that. We don't have to discuss that anymore, because I'm willing to give people the benefits of the doubt. Dude, huh?
What am I scared of?
Dude,
what am I scared of, though?
I don't know. Hell, I don't know. People come on my look.
Just told you idiot right now. What can I say?
My guy, my Christians come on my channel and lie all the time about what they said, and then when I repost the conversation, the reality comes out. So I'm giving.
If I wanted to call you idiot,
bruh,
just call you idiot now.
I've given you
I've
given you the benefit of the doubt. So why are you still talking about it? I've given you the benefit of the doubt. I retracted what I said. Are you not man enough to be able to accept my retraction?
I want to apologize, bro, because I never said it.
I did apologize. I said my apologies, and I retract what I said.
Okay, thanks, man.
Okay.
And it was nice talking to you, bro.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
I hope you have a good one.
So shall you.
Take care.
You too.
Love, man. You know, the beauty of having Christians come up on this channel is that they reinforce why I deconstructed from this religion. They demonstrate to themselves, they demonstrate to all of us how you have to force your way to believe the doctrines that you've been taught over and over again. No matter the fact that it says that Israel is the servant, they're still going to go with, no, it got to be Jesus, it got to be Jesus. Because a Greek writer who wrote in Koine Greek the book of Matthew, saying that they're quoting what someone who was speaking Aramaic said, and they wrote in perfect Koine Greek, mistranslated, misunderstood Hebrew, and are writing this 50, 60, 70 years after the so-called events happened. We're going to trust that. I can guarantee you that not one person on here can quote exactly anything that I said last week. Hell, I ain't even got to go last week. You can't, not one person can probably quote anything that I said exactly from Monday. I doubt if anybody right now, without going to look, can even, I ain't gonna say anybody, it might be one or two persons, but would even know the subject matter that we talked about on Monday. Shit, I'm the one who had the subject matter on Monday and can't tell you what we talked about on Monday, and can't remember and don't know what I can't quote, probably wouldn't be able to quote anything that I said on Monday either. And you want me to believe that some dude who was writing in perfect Koine Greek, listening to an Aramaic story, listening to a story in Aramaic, was quoting Hebrew correctly? Man, please. 70 years later. Yep, we talked about, see, even Sinistar, he said Sodom with a question mark because of the part that's unsure. But now that you say that, yes, I believe it was on Monday that we talked about Sodom and Gomorrah.
but I cannot quote hardly any. I don't know what a good quote that I said on Monday. I could right now go back over the lesson, but I'm never going to say it the same way. So the videos that I post later on, I post those videos. Oftentimes, it's a second take or a third take. And the second or third take never is exactly like the first take. And y'all believe what some dude wrote 70 years after the event in Koine Greek of what some dude said in Aramaic and misquote the Hebrew. Whatever. They can't even get their dates right, their time frames right. If you look at the difference in Luke when Jesus started his ministry compared to when he was supposed to have been born, Luke can't even get it straight. And he's supposed to be writing the damn thing based on hearing these stories. And then they get up here and lie. I know I heard that man call me an idiot. I'm going to go back and listen to that part, by the way, there, sir. So that should be around the 2-hour mark. I will go back and listen to it. And I guarantee he said that. I'm pretty sure. The difference is I'm willing to admit if and when I make mistakes. Which then begs the question, who has the moral high ground here? Are you a believer? Q, are you asking? Q, you can't be asking. Oh, yeah, you asking that, Joker. Okay. I did say, did you ever have an experience with Brahma? No, I ain't never had an experience with Brahma. Why would I have an experience with Brahma when I've never worshipped Brahma? I've never believed in Brahma. So even if I had some type of emotional experience, Victor, I would not say that that was an experience I had with Brahma because I never believed in Brahma. You see, everybody's experience has been with the God that they believe in. And I know people that, oh, well, I didn't never believe in Jesus, but then I had an experience with Jesus. But when we get into the details, you grew up in a culture that personified Jesus or personified whatever God it is, and your experience is always of the God that your culture personified. There's never been a person who never heard of Jesus, never knew about Jesus, didn't have any cultural things around them about Jesus, and then had a Jesus experience. So there's never been a person that I guarantee that no one on the North Sentinel Island has ever had an experience with Jesus, because they ain't never heard of Jesus. So if they had an experience that they attribute to some supernatural, it's going to be to whatever their supernatural gods they believe in. It will never be Jesus. Just like people in Saudi Arabia who's never heard of Jesus, they never have experiences with Jesus. They have experiences with Allah. And if a Muslim in one of these countries, like a Muslim in the UAE, they might have an experience with Jesus. They've heard of Jesus. They don't believe in Jesus in the same way that Christians do, but they believe in it as a prophet. Oh, so a Saudi Arabian can have an experience with Jesus, but he will be the Jesus of being a prophet. He wouldn't be the Jesus of the Bible. He'd be the Jesus of the Quran. He'd be Isa. So everybody's experience. I'm sure if Nub was able to come on here, he would probably talk about the fact that he had an experience with Odin. I think, what is it? Is a Kush? I think a Kush came on here a little while ago. A Kush would probably say that their experience was with, what was the goddess? I forget which goddess that they worship. Is it Ashanti? Yeah. And Kush, if you had an experience, would your an experience right now, would it be with Jesus? Would you attribute that to Jesus, or would you attribute that to, I think it's Shakti? Is your patron deity? I'm not trying to shame you, not trying to call you out. Just an example. If you had a religious experience, who would that be with? Oh, you said Shiva? I forgot which goddess. It might be Shiva. Goddess Kali. So if a Kush had a religious experience, it most likely is going to be attributed, as they're saying right here, to the goddess Kali. There's been times when I named one of my motorcycles Kali. And there was this one time I was going down I-20, don't tell nobody. Okay, so yeah, say I'm a devotee of Kali. So it would be with Kali. All religious experiences are based on whatever God you believe in. When I was going down I-20 at about 180 miles per hour, and I instinctively like, dude, you need to slow your ass down. That's why you named the bike Kali, to maintain your bearing, because sometimes you get a little wild with it. So you got to be Brahma right now and lay down, but you don't want to lay this bike down. Was that Kali speaking to me since I named my bike Kali? Right. Nobody has ever had an experience with Jesus that came before they were preached to or taught about Jesus in some way. Exactly. Yep. Today is Friday. So if you have a religious experience today, it is with Frigga. That's Thor's mama. That's Thor's mama. Right. That was just me. Oh, you weren't trying to get on, Alan? Okay. No problem. No problem. No problem. It happens. Appreciate it. All right. Yeah. And in truth, that experience was with myself, my inner self, because I named that particular bike. It was a ZX14. I named that bike Kali because I understood the power that bike had, and because it was a crotch rocket, I knew that this dude who used to get 5 speeding tickets a year at that time frame of my life, that I needed to have a reminder to calm my ass down on that bike. Because that's not a kind of bike that you need to be out there acting stupid on. Yeah, Frigga. Isn't her name Frigga? Friga. Today is Frigga's day. So if you have a religious experience today, an emotional experience, if you are saved from an accident or something great happens to you today, since today is Frigga's day, then it is Frigga who has come and saved you. And if you have it tomorrow, so we're headed to Houston this afternoon. If we have safe travels, it's going to be because of Frigga. And then tomorrow, when we have a great time with my brother and my nephews and great nephews and nieces, it will be because of Saturn. Let's see, who is the god? What gods are Saturn gods? It's because of Marduk. Marduk is going to give us a great Saturday. And on Sunday, our return, when we come back to San Antonio, that's going to be Sol Invictus or Apollo or Ra, or there's too many sun gods. It's just too many damn sun gods. Just pick one. Pick any sun god. And that's why your Sunday is great. I ain't going with the Greek ones, Kevin. I'm going to go with Ra or Automare. Well, he's kind of like a god of the universe. Who's a good sun god? Utu. Yeah, I'm going with Utu. Yeah. Happy Friga's Day, Fred Jones. Fred Jones in the house, y'all. So this is not Fred. This is not the other Fred. It's Fred Jones. I always got to make sure. Happy Friga's Day. Oh, wow. That's how I'm going to start introducing my lives based on the God. I'm going to pick whatever God it is. Like on Mondays is Moon Day. So it's going to be Sin. The moon goddess Sin. Is Sin a moon goddess? Is a god? And I think Sin is a girl. Is a goddess. Yeah, is a woman, I think. I know the other moon god, Ninurta, I think Ninurta is a moon goddess. Yep, that's what we're doing. Tuesday is going to be what? Tuesday is Mercury. So yeah, I think Tuesday is Mercury. Is named after Mercury, which would also be Thoth. And then Wednesday is Odin's Day. Thursday is Thor's Day. Yep, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. If I remember, you know me, by Monday, I probably forget that I said this, which goes into your eyewitnesses. By Monday, I could easily have forgotten that I said this on Friday, and you expect me to trust the memory? Oh, but they had the Holy Spirit, you know, and the Holy Spirit guided them. But the Holy Spirit sure guided them to a whole bunch of goddamn contradictions. So Tiwa, whose God is Tiwa? I don't even know if it's a what, but that's how I'm gonna say it. Tiwa. Whose God is Tiwa? Oh, both of y'all jumped in with the Tiwa. Whose religion is that? I don't know that one. Oh, Tiwi. Excuse me, Tiwi. Thank you for the correction. Who is Tiwi? That sounds like some South Pacific god or goddess. I don't know all the gods now. I know my wife thought I wasn't gonna be able to smoke this damn god, this thing, because it's strong as shit, and breakfast was of decent proportion. Oh, so it's a Norse god of war. Okay, so I knew that. Well, I knew it. I forgot it. And you wanted people to trust the memory of some people from 70 years ago. I mean, we can demonstrate today how memory sucks. Easily, we can demonstrate how memory sucks. Yet, y'all want to believe that some Holy Spirit allow for these writers, these anonymous writers, to write these things and they be perfect, yet they all get it wrong. They all tell different stories. Some add miracles that others were present for, but then the other ones didn't write it. They talk about events that others were present for, but they write it differently. They can't get the birth right, even within their own story. Hilariously funny that people believe this stuff. And even when you show, and see, that's why that dude is proof of why I don't try to change people. and is a demonstration of me not trying to change people, because that's too much work. I ain't trying to change these people. Trying to change them. I ain't going through that headache of going back and forth as they keep on trying to keep making their same little canned ass statements. All these statements are canned statements, which demonstrate that they've been preached at and they have not studied their own book. Because that dude didn't know nothing about Deuteronomy 22. He had no information concerning Deuteronomy 22, which is why he ran from Deuteronomy 22. They run. That's one of the ways you can tell when someone doesn't know their Bible, when they run from things that that they have never read. Because he ran straight from the fact that a young girl who is not a virgin should be stoned on her wedding night. If she's not a virgin on her wedding night, she'll be stoned. They run from it. And then he tried to gloss it over with, oh, that was from Moses, which also showed me that he ain't never read it, because in Deuteronomy 22 actually starts earlier. I think like Deuteronomy 21 or 20, where it says, these are the commandments of the Lord. And then Moses go through all this long ass litany of different commands for different situations. Did anyone have an experience with the devil? You know, depending upon how they view it. And that's the funny thing about that one. Let me bring that back up. So Sinistar said, did anyone have an experience with the devil? The funny thing about Christians is, relative to how they perceived an event that happens in their life, they are either going to claim God did it or the devil did it. You can have the same event that happened in two Christians' lives. One will claim it's the devil, the other will claim it's God. God is just trying to take me through a season so I can learn something. That's why I lost my house. Oh, I lost my house because the devil came to kill, steal, and destroy, and he destroyed my finances, and I lost my house. But God, grace, and I am still strong in God, because I know God will bring me a better house. It's always the same scenario with them, and they can't agree on any of it. And then a pastor would tell them, oh, well, for you, that was God, but for you, that was the devil. It was God for you because you were faithful in your tithing. It was you because you weren't faithful in your tithing. So the devil took your house. God took your house, but he gonna give you a better house. Now, if you start tithing, God gonna give you, he gonna replenish what he took from you, what the devil took from you, but he gonna give it to you shaken up and bigger and more. So both of y'all can have a bigger house and a better house, but you just got to keep tithing and you got to start tithing. And pastors be slick with it like that. Slick as hell. And I don't know where Fred, he ain't getting in the inbox. Fred nor Sean, not Sean, whatever his name is. That is what this cigar will do to you. This cigar has like a CBD effect. It's very calming. Not Sean, I saw Sean's name. Rupert. That's whose name I was thinking about. Go Rupert. Say, I met the devil once, very nice guy. I meet the devil every day. So I'm just looking at the devil right now because I'm looking at myself. I'm looking at the devil. I'm also looking at God because I'm looking at myself. I want to go with that one. But yes, Debbie, that's how they stay rich. That is how they stay rich, by suckering the hell out of these people. Say, I need one of them cigars. Make sure you eat a good meal, Sean, because this Partagas Red Man. That part gets red. 60. I think it's a 60 ring gauge or 58 ring gauge. It got some. It's straight all Nicaraguan up in this joint. I'm thinking it's all Nicaraguan. It's strong like it's all Nicaraguan. Yeah, they got rid of Asherah. Asherah had to go. They couldn't keep worshiping Asherah. They had to take the woman out. Couldn't have a consort or a concubine or a wife. But yeah, Asherah was depending upon what timeline you're looking at, consort, concubine, or wife of El. And then when El and Yahweh got merged together, Asherah was still his wife. But then by the time we get into the what's the word? When between Hezekiah through Josiah, they were editing the Bible. Editing wasn't the word I wanted, but they was editing the Bible, and that's when they started writing Asherah out. She was fully written out by the time we get into the Assyrian and Babylonian captivities. But you can't have a woman in there in charge because we're men. We're men. We're men in tight, skin tight, walking around. If you haven't seen Men in Tights, that's a great movie to watch. If you want to waste some time and watch something stupid, me and my wife watched Naked Gun, the new Naked Gun movie last night. Good and stupid. But pay good homage to the original Naked Gun movies. The OJ part was real funny. And the Bill Cosby part was funny too. The menorah is the Asherah tree. I've never heard that statement before. I would have to research that one. That sounds interesting, though. No, it's not Mel Brooks. Did Mel Brooks produce it or something? But Naked Gun, the new one is Liam Nielsen, whatever his name is. The old one, who played Frank Drebin? It's the guy who played the doctor in Airplane. I don't know his name. That's Leslie Nielsen. Leslie something. I think it's Leslie Nielsen. Yeah, I heard Mel Brooks is making a new Spaceballs movie. But if they don't have, what's his name, Tim Conway, I'll be pissed off. We ain't found shit. That's how the Bible. Oh, Men in Tights. Yes, that's Mel Brooks. Men in Tights is Mel Brooks. You're right about that one. Okay, I see what you're saying. But if they don't have him saying, we ain't found shit, even though it pisses him off, he probably wouldn't do it. Because he said people remember him. I've heard interviews of him saying that, multiple ones saying that he pisses him off that people remember him from that more than anything else. I remember him originally from Star Trek and was surprised when I found out that he was the person who said, I ain't found shit. I remember him from Voyager. In case you missed my message, I want to tell you that the Roman god Mithra is actually the Vedic god Mithra. Now I know that the Romans got it from the Iranians. Does that make it a Vedic god? I never researched it past the Iranians. From the Iranians back then, which would have been the Persians. So is that the same? Are you saying the Persians got it from the Hindus? Oh yeah, you are. Okay. So Akush is saying that the Iranians got it from the Indians. Okay. Okay, so that is Leslie Nielsen. It was a dumb movie, but it was funny. And it was just like how the old Naked Gun movies were made. I'll probably watch it again because there's some ways that he said some stuff that I was like, I'm going to adopt that. I like the way he said that. Yeah, the Near East and the Middle East are the Near East and the Middle East are really close. And of course, they had trade amongst each other. So I wouldn't be surprised. That's one of the interesting things about when you study the cultures of these people, to go back to our main subject here. When cultures are close enough to each other where they have this level of, they have this contact with one another, they not only exchange goods, they not only exchange technology, but they exchange gods as well, right? So the Iranians or Persians at the time frame could have easily learned about the Indian version of Mithra, and converted that into Mithras and made that their god. And you got to think during the time frame of the Romans, it wouldn't, the Zoroastrianism was still the primary religion of the Iranians. So even the Mithraic religion in the Iranians was a smaller, it wasn't a major religion within the Iranians, because their primary worship was Zoroastrianism, which would have been Ahura Mazda and Agra Minyan. Ahura Mazda being the sole entity, one God, creator of the universe, no consorts, always been in existence. And then Agra Minyan was the direct opposite of that God. In Hinduism, Mithra is a god of friendship. Okay. I don't know if my wife was on there, but that was some good coffee. Wasn't this better? The whatever the other two for the last previous 2 days is still better. It's better than this one. This one is in third place. We're experimenting on some different coffees, some different coffee beans. So the Ethiopian and the, was it Italian that you made the other day, that we drank the other day? Whatever they are, some good shit. I wouldn't be. I wonder if she packed the French press again. Okay, that's right. I got it right. Let me tell you. Now, I normally do not eat anything on this show, but that cigar strong. And I know I'm getting ready to eat lunch in a few minutes, but this orange, this tangerine, it's got to go down. Then a little sugar loss. Oh, Sumatra. Look, for those people who came to the, I posted pictures on Facebook, and I can post them on YouTube, and I can post them on TikTok really as well. For those people who came to the meetup, they know that my wife packed up the French press. We brought the French press with us. I wouldn't be surprised if we're taking it to Houston too. Can't be drinking that hotel coffee. And tangerine don't stand a chance. It sure don't. And I'm being nice because usually I just take like a whole piece like this and all at one time. Appreciate you being here, Akush. You always provide us with good info about the because I do utilize parallels in the Hindu religion to the Christian religion, and mainly because Christians don't know anything about the Hindu religion. So when you throw that up and show them the similarities, they always fall apart. Kind of like old boy did, because he didn't demonstrate anything beyond, I done sat in churches, and most likely for him a Catholic church. I refuse to see the movie Sarah Oil. Okay. Never heard of it, but all right. Anyway, the figure they based the Jesus myth, anointed birth, murder, and bleeding out. The resurrection is on the Babylonian deity of Anon. See Adonis and Tammuz. Mithras lacks these elements in his story. I know Tammuz was killed. I don't remember a lot about Adonis. But so this Christian story is an amalgamation of multiple common themes that you can find in other religions. Appreciate you, Spaz Dads. But one of the things that helped me deconstruct from Christianity was the fact that I did go and start reading about some of the religions that came before Christianity. And when I read those, did I find any deity that was 100% the same as Jesus? No. Are you going to find any that's 100% Jesus? No. But you can find similar motifs in multiple Mediterranean and Near East gods that fit within the Jesus story. And just like any narrative, once a story has been told and popularized, you can take parts of that story and make your own version of it. This is pretty much what the Mohammedans did. They took Jewish stories and they took Christian stories, added some, they still incorporated some of their polytheistic stories, and they made Allah. What you do is you clear up some of the known impossibilities or stupid shit within these stories, or the things that you have culturally dismissed, and you make it now part of your story. He's so stupid. Not this part. This part is right. Jesus an anointed pot of gumbo. That's like that statement. But none of these stories, none were before Christ. Nobody ever heard of your Christ before first century dude. Yep. Jesus' belief is like your grandmother's biscuits recipes. There's nothing like it, but it's not all that special. Sure ain't. My grandmother used to make them cake biscuits, but as soon as I discovered them damn flaky biscuits, I was on with the flaky. Where am I? You got a ZX 600. Well, right now I ride a Gold Wing 1800. I may one day get another crotch rocket, but as it stands right now, probably not. Oh, look at the little dumbass frigate. Just because your Bible says that Adam and Eve were the first named human beings doesn't make it true when archaeology says differently. Because Genesis is just a story of made-up creation story for the Hebrew people. It has as much validity as the creation story of the Hopi Indians, as the Aztec and the Mayans, as the Hindu story, or anybody else's creation story. Everybody got a kind of creation story, and none of them are true. Tell him, Sean. Orange pieces are spitting out my mouth. First human footprints proved 100,000 years ago. The Tepes, Göbekli Tepe and Taran Tepe, at least 13, up to 13,000 years ago. The Sphinx is, actually, I'm going to give the Sphinx about 26,000 years old. Stonehenge is 8,000 years ago. Adam and Eve is 6,400 years ago. Kind of bust that shit right on up. That was what Cain said. Cain was the one that said where I would go, because there's people out there who would try to kill me. That was in the Cain story. Adam was just, the punk that he was, and he was just like, okay, I got to go farm now. I can't just walk around picking shit off the trees. But Cain did say that. And since it was supposed to just been Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, and then Cain kills Abel. Yep, Cain paintings are, there's some caves in France where the paintings are 40,000 years old. Actually, about 20 years ago or so, Lucy was determined to be a prehistoric ancestor to the great apes and not hominids. So how were we made? By accident? Again, the house you live in was not accidental. You cannot compare a house to biology. That's your first problem. The phone you use is not accidental. You cannot compare a phone to biology. We know evolution does not work that way, sir. So stop trying to make it work that way. You cannot make it work the way you want it to work in order for you to make a justified point, right? So that's some bullshit. But we do know that we come from a common ancestor. We do know that it was a hominid. We do not know where the hominid came from. See, that's the beauty of science and an elevated mind. We have the ability to say, we don't know yet. We don't know yet. And as far as we can tell, the hominid most likely originated out of Africa. It's possible that other hominids developed in other areas of the world, which is why there is the interest in comparing Neanderthal development to Homo sapien development. Right. There's supposed to be an angel with a cherubim with a fiery sword that's supposed to defend the way to Eden. And that's why we can't find it. Can't find it because it's a made up story. But our universe came from a whole bunch of shit mixing together. And I'm pretty sure that there is life on other planets where shit mixed together properly to create life, sentient life. It sure hell didn't come from some god. I mean, hell, according to the Kemetic, we were all created by their gods. According to the Norse, we're created by their gods. According to everybody, we're created by their gods. And a lot of gods a lot of these guys always lived on mountains. And then once man was able to climb those mountains, then all of a sudden, well, the gods are existing in an ethereal universe that you cannot see with your regular eyes. You will have to go into a trance by getting some methane gases up in your system. And then with the oracles or sniffing on some weed or whatever, doing some putting your face in some smoke, and then you'll be able to see the realm of the gods. So you can climb Mount Olympus now, but they don't live there in a matter form anymore as they were being taught hundreds of years prior, because now we can claim those gods. We can climb those mountains. And yes, and then as we become more scientifically advanced, we understand that physics shows that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And so the universe was not created, it has always been here and is permanent. Our life and our existence in these universes goes back and forth. And who knows what type of life will be developed in the next singularity. This fool. Their gods can't cross-reference themselves like I God do, sir. No, your God cannot be cross-referenced because one, timeline doesn't fit. 6,400 years ago was the creation of the universe. That doesn't work. 2,500, 4,500 years ago was a flood. Doesn't cross-reference. Doesn't at all. All the world spoke one language about 2,300 years ago. Nah, that's a lie. We know that's not true either. Slaves in Egypt? Nah. Well, Israelite slaves in Egypt? Nah. Doesn't cross-reference either. Sorry. Nope. Doesn't work, sir. Your Bible only cross-reference things that did Jerusalem exist? Yeah. Did Sennacherib attack? Yeah. But there is, for the short amount of time that I'm going to be here, because I'm about to get off, for my Christians on here, what in Genesis cross-reference to anything we have in archaeology? Just one. Just give me one. Well, now let me not say that, because we have identified, we named the Euphrates and the Tigris River. What God thing cross-references other than the Euphrates and the Tigris River, other than land, where like a city or a state or a river or some shit is that? There's not one thing in Genesis that you can look at and say, oh yeah, that's exactly how it happened. That we have scientifically figured out that that's exactly how it happened. It matches the Bible. Nothing with Adam, nothing with Noah, nothing with Abraham, nothing with Babylon, the Tower of Babel, none of those things. What was that? Strigata said, snakes eat dust, and snakes don't eat dust. A snake's tongue is his nose, and he flicks it up in the air to smell shit. Snakes do not eat dust. I know you're, I'm sure you're not saying that snakes eat dust. I know you're. This fool, why are you making it difficult for us to answer? You the person who said that your Bible cross-reference the things that we know, and you mentioned Genesis. So name me anything in Genesis other than the Euphrates River exists or the Tigris River exists, because the Babylonians story talk about the Euphrates River as well. So name me one thing in Genesis other than some rivers, names of a place, that you can cross-reference with the Bible and then be able to say Genesis is true. Come on, Fred. It's your opportunity to handle me in Yeshua's name. Come on, you got like 2 minutes. And then I'm getting the hell off here. Y'all being stupid talking about the rainbow. Y'all know rainbow's been around longer than this story. According to the Chinese story of the Yellow River flooding, the rainbow came about because of these stones, these colored stones that was used to plug up the holes in the dome, and that's where the rainbow came from, according to some Chinese stories. Come on. See, y'all wrong. Y'all just creating all the stuff that we know goes against it. Light was created before the stars and the sun. Yeah. Come on, Fred. Where your proof at? City, the land of your Babylon exists. Yeah. Yeah. In the Babylonian story, they talk about the Euphrates. So that then based on your mindset, that would make the Babylonian story correct. So Marduk killed Tiamat to create the earth and the asteroid belt. Come on, Fred. Where's your proof? Where's your proof? Where's your items? Your things that happened in Genesis that demonstrates that Genesis is real. Come on, Fred. I mean, because people are just destroying your whole thing. They're taking away all your answers. Women are made out of a man's rib. I don't know how they're gonna make a woman out of a man's rib, because a man that ain't gonna work. He's just gonna make another dude. He's just gonna make another dude with that. Abraham born place exists. Now, I said no cities, dude. Just because they said that, oh, he was born in this, he's from the city of Ur. That don't mean nothing. That means nothing. Everybody got stories talking about cities that some god or some patriarch or some important person came out of. That makes everybody else's story true too. Everybody else's story is true. Because they named the city. Shit, Spider-Man real. He's in New York. Spider-Man names New York. So Spider-Man is real. Can't prove a damn thing. All right. So we know Fred is not going to be able to prove anything whatsoever. Look at him. No, Fred, if you can prove something, I have demonstrated that if a person shows me that I am incorrect about something, I have always said, okay, all right, I give you that one. But you ain't giving me nothing, Fred. Come on, Fred. Come on. Come on, Fred. You're typing, but you're lipping back. You're going to sprain a knuckle. You're going to blow a head gasket. Let's see. Is there anything that I would, if I was Fred, what would I use? Well, if I was Fred, I know I don't have the brain power to use anything. But if I was me and I was trying to prove Genesis, something that is not easily refuted like a place. Damn. Nope. Can't use a famine because other people have famine stories that involve gods. I was going to use a famine that Abraham had to deal with, but there were multiple famines talking about, and there's a famine stealer that talks about a famine, but they attributed that to their god. Fred, what part of a book claiming a city or land exists is not proof of the book? And why did I take out the two rivers? Because Every other religion names rivers. So that would not create proof for your book, because if you took that as a standard, then the Babylonians are right. The Egyptians talk about the Nile River all the damn time in damn near every story. So then that would make the Ra and Anubis are gods. You see how they don't work? Can you comprehend that? It don't work if you're talking about a city or a river or a body of water, any body of water or a mountain. No. Fucking Spider-Man exists. Iron Man exists. They about to come out with the well, I don't know if they're gonna do the West Coast Avengers, but they're gonna do Wonder Man. He's in LA. Mean that Wonder Man exists? Because it's true. So then, Fred, you should be worshiping Ra, because Ra speaks of the Euphrates River. Thoth speaks of the Euphrates River. The Egyptian religion speaks of the Euphrates River. So since we know not the Euphrates, the Nile River. So since we know that the Nile River exists, then you should worship Khnum, because Khnum allowed for Egypt to get out of their famine when they restored his temple down in Elephantine. So you, Fred, should be worshiping Khnum, because he will release the floodwaters so that the drought that you have in your life will become fertile again, Fred. Because if you put a temple of Khnum in your house or on your land, then Khnum will bring a bounty into your life. Khnum, all praise be to Khnum. He will give you visions like he did with Amhotep, so that you will know that the replenishment of his temple will bring fertility to your land, Fred. So praise be to Khnum. And if you got that and you don't leave Hippo out, because that's the goddess of the Nile River. Don't leave her out. He's so stupid. He's stupid. Fred, okay, memory again. Fred, you were on here when I went over the 4 different creation stories of the Egyptians. And there were 4 different stories, because you had 4 different major cities during different time frames that changed the story slightly, whether it was Amun, Ra, or Akhten who created the universe. All of them comes out of the Ogdode. So the Ogdode created the universe when Ra was formed into the cosmic egg. And then from that, Ra created the earth. He created Jeb and Nut, the waters, the salt waters and the fresh waters. And then his daughter, Shu, who is the goddess of wind, blew and separated Jeb and Nut so that the land could appear. Doesn't that sound familiar, Fred? Of the wind of God allowing for the land to be shown. They have a whole creation story, Fred. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm done messing with Fred. We all know that Fred is by his own account. He cannot handle too much mental education. Why does Google say that Jesus existed now? Most likely because most scholars will agree that Jesus existed as an itinerant preacher, was a real historical character, but the Jesus of the Bible. So if you're going to ask the question, does Jesus exist? You have to be more specific in the questioning. Like, does a historical Jesus exist? Does a biblical version of Jesus exist? So how you ask the question is going to give you your answer. But anyway, yeah, these older civilizations have multiple creation stories, just like the Bible does. Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 are 2 different creation stories. written by two different groups of people. So yeah, we have that. Anyway, y'all have a great weekend. Y'all have a great weekend. Like I said, me and my wife are headed to Houston this afternoon. She should be home around 3:30. So I got to get off here so I can have me a little snack, even though I'm still stopping at Buc-ee's. So that's why I'm just having a snack. All right, just having a snack. I got to stop at Buc-ee's so she can get that little. For the people who was at the meetup, we was talking about the little Buc-ee's little new container. Watch my wife buy like a whole set of them damn things. I know she's going to get a whole set of them. She can't help herself. Yeah, so we're heading to Houston this weekend. I don't know if IB was on here or not, but I'll contact you once I know what my schedule is going to be. Once we get down to Houston, I got to figure out I got to talk to my brother, find out what the schedule is. So yeah, so y'all have a great weekend. Remember on Facebook, I have posted I have a featured post about the next year's cruise that we're taking for our annual meetup. And we're going to go to Chichen Itza and go to the pyramid in Chichen Itza. So we're taking this cruise next year. You want to sign up as soon as possible because the prices are normally better. And you will also be able to do a payment plan. So you don't have to have all the money up front. I would love to see you guys there. I already know a couple of people have already booked theirs. If you need to, I'm trying to figure out how to make an event page on Facebook. Sometimes it allows me to, it does, sometimes it doesn't. I'm gonna figure out how to make an event page on Facebook. That way, it'll also give you guys an opportunity. Let's say you're just an individual, you want to go, but you don't want to pay for the double occupancy. If you get with someone, then y'all can share a room. You'll be able to share that room. So it'll allow a place where y'all can talk to figure that out, because I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be sitting here trying to match people up in rooms and shit, right? So I'm going to figure out how to create some kind of page where y'all can talk to each other. So give me a couple of days to figure out how to make a Facebook event page to do this damn thing, because I couldn't do it on my phone. I'm just going to YouTube how to make an event. Oh, well, I'll be damned. Let's see if I did this on a regular Facebook, because sometimes you can do things on a laptop that they won't let you do. On your phone. Yep. Okay. So I see on my laptop, I can create an event. So I'll create the event, and then you'll just have to go over to Facebook, Deconstructing Christianity, or search at Coach Renz 33 on Facebook. Give me this weekend to figure it out. Give me till Tuesday, because I'm gonna eat, and I'm not gonna. Yeah, I got to send all those pictures over to my laptop so I can. Oh no, if I create the event on here. Hold on, I'm gonna do this shit right now, because if I don't do it right now, it's probably not gonna happen until Monday. But it will be great for you guys to be able to join us. See, add an end date, because it's just a 2, 3, 4, 5, just a 5-day cruise. On this boat. I'm just putting times in here because you have to. I know it leaves out of New Orleans. So I'm just putting New Orleans. I'll add more information to it. Because once I create this, I should be able to I am going to put it where I have to approve what people are posting on here. I don't want nobody posting no crazy shit. So I'll add more to it over the weekend since I'm creating this event. Hopefully I can get to it on my phone. I'm trying to see something. Trying to see something here. Ooh, okay. Yeah, that's nope. That's not what I'm looking for. Oh, yes, it is. All right, so tell me I ain't the man. God dang it. That's the Facebook link. Yeah. That's the Facebook link. I'll add more to it. But for right now, so that's the link. You can go ahead and follow that link if you're interested in being there. And I'll add more to it over the weekend, if not on Monday, if I can do it. Oh, Fred, don't tell us you're a lie. You were supposed to come this year, but you ain't coming nowhere. You ain't even coming. Y'all have a great day. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Thank you for supporting the channel through your subscriptions, through your, I am going to start doing more videos for the super fans on TikTok, members on YouTube, and subscription holders on Facebook. So there will be added videos and things of that nature for people who support the channel that way, because I do want to show that appreciation. But thank you guys for supporting the channel. Those who super chats, those who give gifts, those who give stars. Thank you very, very much for the support of the channel. So y'all have a great day. And always remember, we have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. And we are clocking out because now I only have 30 minutes. But it's going to take a minute to get home, but you know what I mean. Got about an hour.